place in the All-Ireland final on the last Sunday in September at stake. Tyrone are on their way to the All-Ireland final where they will play Armagh. It's time for the Sam Maguire showpiece. Inside, laid off to Canavan, great goal! Peter Canavan! It's all over, and Tyrone have won the All-Ireland. The clash of football's most consistent forces. It's in the back of the net. Tommy McGuigan and Tyrone are the All-Ireland football champions. We're set to go. It's there. It's finished. He's got a goal chance straight at the goalkeeper, and it's in the back of the net. And it's Conor McKenna again. Kerry were the raging hot favourites. Tyrone are in the final.
Our first semi-final and a rivalry that just never gets old. 9 championship meetings to date, 5 wins for Kerry, 4 for Tyrone, extra time in 2021, and always a bit of bite. And here we see Kerry coming out on the pitch. A couple of interesting changes to both teams. The most obvious one from a Kerry point of view is that Paddy Clifford, I think we saw him there at the front there, he is starting alongside his big brother, or his little brother as it is, David Clifford. Some big changes that we're going to hear about from Darren Maloney on the Tyrone team as well. We'll get to that in just a moment. But I said, Sean Kavanagh, always a bit of bite in this rivalry. I know they played a couple of years ago, but the last time we covered Kerry and Tyrone, we were standing a little bit up there as we watch here come the Tyrone players out onto the pitch. And our other Kerry man at the time, Pat Spillane, and you had a slight disagreement. Are you going to get on a bit better with Tomas today?
Yeah, I would never fall out with Tomas at all. No, look, you know, the rivalry is there, Joanne. It's a beautiful thing. I remember standing under, in 2003, we were doing the warm-up room pre-match, and it was like a Quentin Tarantino film. There was blood running out of me, running out of about 5 or 6 other players.
Was this before the match?
Before the match, of the fear of meeting the green and gold of Kerry. As kids and through the 80s and 90s, we were always told Tyrone is not as good as Kerry. Kerry's the aristocrats. Kerry owns Gaelic football, and there's something that pulled the best and still pulls the best out of Tyrone with that fear. Yeah, I hope there's blood running out of a few of those white jerseys at the moment.
But Joanne, that's a big question. You know, where are Tyrone going to find that edge, that 2003-esque edge that they've had? You know, I remember Sean arriving that day with steam coming out of his ears the day of COVID. There was definitely a lot of annoyance up there, and they wanted to make a statement. But it's great to see the warmth even on the sideline. Sean meeting Mickey Hart and Tomas meeting, you know, Jack O'Connor. You know, the warmth between each camp is fantastic to see. You know.
Tomas, do you want to come in there after he's just thrown you under the bus?
I didn't meet Jack today, I don't think, to be honest.
I think he's suggesting there may be a reason for that. But
I saw him away from me. I
asked you to go over to him.
Enough.
Was it your biggest rival? You obviously had some great battles with Cork at the time as well, and they came up against Armagh a few times, but is that the one?
It was, and look, there was tremendous matches. We never got on top of them. There was 3 huge games throughout that period of number of years where it was Kerry and Tyrone that were just winning the All-Irelands. There was 7 or 8 years of it. That was a really, really good Tyrone team, to be fair to them. And I think Sean mentioned it there, and I think he hit the nail on the head. Whenever it is, you could gauge the Tyrone rambling along in Championship, but when it came to Kerry, they lifted the bar. They lifted it, and they performed a lot better than they had been before. I don't think these two particular teams have the same rivalry that we had, but there's something there that stokes something in Tyrone for certain. So it is a game that I suppose holds a bit of trepidation for people in Kerry, and I suppose this Kerry team in particular, they're probably, a lot of people would say they think of them as a team based on flash rather than fire, but they brought that little bit of fire against Armagh, but they're going to need to bring it in buckets again today for Tyrone, and Tyrone likewise will have to throw up something they haven't thrown up all year.
Damien Lawler, this Kerry man and Tyrone man are getting on far too well. What about yours?
Well, it's actually the first thing to say, Joanne, is not as scorching warm as it was maybe just an hour ago. There is a nice breeze going across. Flags are going in the usual different directions. What are you expecting today, Eamon? Where are the key areas for Kerry to win this game?
Well, I think it's a big one that Paddy Clifford is starting, Damien. We were worried in Kerry this week when he was named to start. Mark O'Shea being in as well is a big call because of the influence of Brian Kennedy and Con Kilpatrick in the middle of the field. But look, I'm expecting a typical Kerry-Tyrone battle. I was saying at the end of there, till the day I die, I'll never trust Tyrone, especially at this stage of the championship. We've had too many
Shocking
scars down the years, so I imagine it'll be the same in the Kerry dressing room. It's going to be a huge battle, and hoping that Kerry can bring a similar performance to what they brought against Armagh last day out.
Is that a love scorned, or have you trust back for him?
No, I just want him to remain as uneasy at our side, because God knows the rest of the country is pretty uneasy at the side of the Kerry jersey. Look, I think the battle lines for today is fairly well drawn. Tyrone will be hoping that they have a stronger midfield. Kerry's forward line, the performance that they produced the last day, can they reproduce that? Can Tyrone shut that down? Can Tyrone's forward line hit a higher gear? But look, today, the sense of opportunity, Eamon was saying to me coming up the line, just semi-finals are just different. You're so close now to the end line, you're so close to that final. It's up to whatever team hits their peak today.
Kerry pressed Ethan Rafferty very, very impressively last time out. How important will kick-outs be today with goalkeepers?
It'll be huge, but that breeze, you mentioned this, Damien, is strong. Niall Morgan kicking down into the canal end. He's going to be able to land it on the 45 there, so how Kerry deal with that is certainly going to be a thing. And I think Malachy O'Rourke starting Owen McElhone is a huge statement as well. It's a statement of intent of going at it, trusting a young lad who's no fear, and he's probably going to upset the Kerry matchups as well, so that's going to be interesting.
Final question to you, and Tyrone have shown unbelievable patches of what they can do all year. Is today the day that they string it together for 70 minutes and get to an All-Ireland final?
I think they're still going to play with an element of control, but absolutely this is going to have to be their best performance in the year. We're going to have to see a performance level from them that we haven't seen to date. Kerry produced 15 stunning minutes the last day. We have to shut that down. But look, Tyrone are a team that can stand up to a big occasion. Today is that. Anything less than their best is not going to be good enough today.
OK, and Eamon and myself are off to find our yacht. For now, it's up to Darren Maloney in commentary.
Damien, thank you very much indeed. Yeah, let's have a look at these two teams. Kerry without the injured pair, Tom O'Sullivan and Diarmuid O'Connor. They make two late changes. We will see two of the best goalkeepers in the game in action today, with Shane Ryan at the peak of his powers between the sticks for Kerry. The loss of Tom O'Sullivan in the full back line is a big blow, but it's still a very strong unit, with 34-year-old Paul Murphy in strong form again. Mike Breen has recovered in time to make the starting team. He lines out at centre forward, or centre back indeed. Kerry have also had to shuffle things around in the middle of the field, with Joe O'Connor having a very strong season. Mark O'Shea in from the start, with Micheál Burns dropping out of the team. O'Shea was on the fringes of the side earlier in the year, but in from the start this afternoon. David Clifford scored 3 goals in the league meeting between the two counties earlier this year. He's all set to provide lots of headaches for the opposition defence, and no surprise at all, Paudie Clifford in from the start, Conor Gainey going the other way. You can see the Kerry subs, some shadow boxing with the makeup of the team. Tyke Morley is in there, Paul Gainey also there. Let's go to Tyrone. Niall Morgan is the current all-star goalkeeper. His kickouts are one of the major talking points coming into this game. He doesn't roam out the field as much as last year, but you certainly can't take your eyes off him when he plays. The defence run by Padraig Hampsey, who didn't play a single minute of the league, but is in top form and will probably pick up David Clifford. The first of the Tyrone changes, there are 2 of them. Ben McDonnell now starting in place of Rory Brennan. McDonnell's had a very good year. He isn't part of the matchday 26 anymore. Rory Brennan, who he replaces. Tyrone have a strong midfield pairing, very strong midfield pairing. Brian Kennedy and Con Kilpatrick going well and loving the aerial battles at kick-out time. Peter Hart, this is huge, out of the Tyrone team. That is a blow, but he is on the bench. Owen McElhone, the star of their under-20 team, is starting at centre forward, and serious firepower in that full forward line. Matty Donnelly enjoying a very successful campaign 15 years after his debut. And then the Tyrone subs, well, the impact they have off the bench. OK, Owen McElhone isn't there anymore. He's in from the start. Rory Canavan, Ben McDonnell is starting, and Frank Burns. So that's a strong unit there, and that is how the two teams line out, with 2 changes on both starting 15s.
And the 3 lads have very strong feelings about the Tyrone changes as well. We'll get to those in a minute. First of all, so Paudie Clifford comes into this Kerry attack that was already on fire against Armagh the last day. Can they reproduce that, and will they be allowed to reproduce that today?
Yeah, I think one of the factors last day, Joanne, was the amount of one-on-ones they created. I think Sean O'Shea sets the tone for Kerry. He takes on his man, bangs it over the bar. They created one-on-ones, they took on their men, and they slotted it over the bar. And the main thing was that these clips alone wasn't just Shawnee. Brian Begley did it, Gavin White, Joe O'Connor, Micheál Burns throughout the match. There was no over and back. They were just saw the one-on-ones. I think Armagh made a bit of a mistake. They played a sweeper back, probably afraid of David Clifford inside. I think Armagh were also poor on the one-on-ones, and I don't think Tyrone will be in any way. I think, if anything, Tyrone will ensure that they cut that out. The problem is, if they push out on Kerry, David Clifford is going to be free inside. But certainly, I would want Kerry today doing the same thing. Do not add a bit of pace to your game. Add fellas coming off the shoulder every single time. Create, move, and take fellas on and shoot. And I think it was a huge performance from Kerry last day. Paddy Clifford added to that in the second half when he came on. We expected him to start. He is there, but it's a huge thing for Kerry today, Joanne, to be direct. When the long ball is on, kick it in, but when it's not on, take on your man, spread it out, create one-on-ones, and I think that they can hurt their own by doing that.
We've despite all of that, Sean, and we've heard one thing Kerry was keen to talk about is that they're not a one-man team. If you look at the bulk of their actual scoring, though, we saw the graphic there a moment ago, between David Clifford and Sean O'Shea, it's 55% of all Kerry's total. Only 4 of their players are even in the double figures. The only other team who's comparable with that across the 4 semi-finalists is actually Tyrone. They're the only other team who only has that low a number in double figures. But they don't rely on McCurry and Canavan to the same degree to get the scores as Kerry do.
Yeah, look, they are very much a one-man team in that David Clifford is on a different planet to everyone who plays Gaelic football, and has been for the last 7 years. Tyrone aren't going to stop David Clifford. I haven't seen David Clifford stopped in big games. So if David Clifford scores 7 or 8 today, I think Tyrone will be happy enough. It's about stopping everyone around him. The last day, obviously, Shawnee O'Shea caught fire and ripped Armagh to shreds. Paddy's in today. They have to stop that supply. They know the telepathy there is between Paddy and David. He's going to knit everything together. So Tyrone's going to... Conor Meyler in the past went man-to-man. It could be a Kieran McGeary. It could be a Kieran Daly. I think what Malachy's done very cleverly is bringing in Ben O'Donnell, who's going to add that with a little bit of power in around the mid-sector. They've recognised that Kerry went after Armagh and dominated in that mid-sector. Ben will play as a third midfielder. And then up front, Owen McElholm scares the living life out of anyone who matches up with him. So in terms of matchups, I'm not sure how Kerry are going to cope with that. And I think he's going after Kerry's vulnerabilities. Kerry's vulnerabilities are in their defence. They're not in trying to stop David Clifford or Shawnee O'Shea or Paddy Clifford. You're not going to do that.
I think on the matchups, if you call it right now, I think Murphy or Foley will pick up McCurry and Canavan. You probably have Dylan Casey going on Donnelly, which leaves a problem with McElholm. You're going to have to, it's probably Brian O'Begley, I would say, that'll pick up one of them. But you 4 guys that need to be tied down. And if Kerry are trying to bomb forward, and if Tyrone, which they will go long on kickouts, then you have a potential problem as well.
Well, then let's look at the other side of things, at the Tyrone defence, because obviously Armagh went zonally, and a lot of people were critical of how they didn't really push out.
Yeah, they sat very deep, which they sat deep all year. And if you give Kerry the football out the field in that space, don't put heat on them, they're going to hurt you. They're going to hurt you badly. And Armagh never really pushed out. Armagh were way off it in the quarter-final, and I think that is kind of maybe distorted the Kerry narrative. I think Tyrone are going to be very, very different in how they approach. They'll go to man. They know who the key shooters are. You see against Dublin here, it's Bugger, Kilkenny they're watching, but McGreary is sitting in that pocket. I think he's the man they want to free up. They know that the guys out the field, Keane Murphy and Owen Merchant, they're not shooters, so they were much more organised defensively. And you can see Kieran Daly is still watching Kieran Kilkenny. Bugler is still being watched man-to-man. They're waiting as Keane Murphy has drifted in. McGreary has picked him up, and Daly goes across here. They're still very much man-to-man, no zone, goes across to support. Dublin are getting into the danger zone. It comes back to Kilkenny. He knows he has to close him down. He chases him, he closes him down, he forces, puts him under pressure. The minute he comes under pressure, McGreary leaves his man and he comes out, and again he's that second man to come out, force that turnover, drive the energy in defence and push them on. And I think Tyrone will set up pretty similar. They might, as Tomas said, they will want to push out the field. It's how far they push, because there's a bit of risk reward in it. You go man to man, you open up Kerry's strength in terms of kicking and the 1v1s that Tomas spoke about. So, but if they sit back like Armagh done and you give Kerry possession of the ball, they will destroy you. So you have to put heat on them.
They're going to have to man mark Shawnee, David and
they're going
Paddy.
to definitely tag Shawnee, yeah, 100%.
3 of them.
Yeah.
And then you have the problem because you've space elsewhere, and if other players need to step up to the plate, they'd have to do it today. But I wouldn't expect David to have the impact that he normally has on matches. Other lads will have to step up. Shawnee did it the last day. So there's a big ask today.
You got to feel that Peter Teague will be given a role today. He might be given a role on Shawnee O'Shea. He marked Clifford in the league. Now, Clifford scored 3-3, but Teague done actually okay on him. So it's really the conundrum, I think, is who's going to take Paddy Clifford.
Speaking of conundrums, as if we needed the stats, but it made it crystal clear. Maurice Brosnan on the Gaelic Football Show, the Examiner's podcast, he had this unbelievable stat from that Armagh-Kerry game. He said that 19 kickouts were lost, so 6 were lost by Kerry, 13 by Armagh. And from those 19 lost kickouts, 17 resulted in scores. So even more pressure again on what Niall Morgan is going to do.
Yeah, Joanne, and look, Kerry read Ethan Rafferty's kickouts. They knew he was going for the pockets, and there was double teams waiting on any Armagh player to get possession. Tyrone have something different. Brian Kennedy, he's probably been the player of the year. Any time for the last 5 or 6 years, Tyrone's gone under any sort of pressure. They target him. He's 6'7". I've marked this man a few times in club football. You simply will not get up with him. And Tyrone players know this. When the clips we're seeing here now, Morgan goes long to Kennedy. 2 or 3 players, in this case the Dublin players, wrap around Kennedy. Tyrone players speed off him. He's brilliant going up. Like you can imagine, it's hard enough trying to catch a man with 6'7", going up with 2 hands. He goes up with 1, and he's brilliant at the flick on. And he's been doing that for years. And whenever he does that, Tyrone inevitably will get in around the back of the defence. And that's the danger that Kerry have. If Kerry go and try and press that, and you've got a McElhone and you've got a McCurry and you've got a Canavan waiting on the flick on, they're going to do serious damage.
Interesting that it's a 2-point freeze that Mr. Morgan is practicing at the moment. We do have 2 very different All-Ireland semi-finals for you this weekend, not only in terms of side but in history as well, because there have only been 4 previous meetings between Donegal and Meath, and although this Kerry-Tyrone rivalry is already the stuff of legend, they actually only met for the first time in the championship in 1986.
Tyrone are underdogs, nothing to lose whatsoever.
Well, here we are, right in the heart of all the Tyrone supporters.
I can tell you that Kerry is a little bit nervous and a little bit apprehensive.
Well, you see, they're out-and-out favourites, and that brings pressure on of its very own.
Any Kerry-Tyrone match is always one to anticipate with a fair degree of expectation.
So here we stand on the threshold of history.
And he puts it over. Beautifully over the bar.
It's come to Kerry's Mikey Spillane. Actually, gets a brilliant goal.
I don't know how I'd describe it. I'd call it puke football.
Looks like his day at Croke Park is over.
There's a goal here for Ponsquin.
Canavan, great goal! All going Tyrone's way. It's all today about Kerry. Victory for Kerry. Mickey Hart's men prevail at Croke Park, and Kerry have got their way.
UEFA Women's Euro 2025. All 31 games live across RTE.
McDonald's burgers are prepared to order. And the patties are made from whole cuts of beef sourced from farms across Ireland with a pinch of salt and pepper, nothing else. Oh, and some onions added at the grill. There's not much else to say, really. That sizzle speaks louder than words. Right, here comes the jingle.
You might think you know the wild Atlantic way, but maybe it's time for a closer look. To feel the rush of crashing waves and chance upon a love story steeped in time. To take to the sea, to see what lies beyond and beyond and beyond. Keep discovering the wild Atlantic way.
Get the Samsung Galaxy S24 or the all-new Galaxy S25 with 3. Plus, Trade in your old phone and we'll give you an extra €100 on top of its trade-in value. Now that's a big deal. Switch in store or see 3.ie today. 3, Ireland's best network.
My Future Fund, the new auto-enrolment retirement savings scheme, is coming. You pay in, your employer pays in, and the state tops it up. It all adds up to a great way to save for your future. And something to look forward to. For more information, visit gov.ie/auto-enrolment. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Sale continues at Yisk with fantastic offers. Right now you can save 20 to 60% on selected garden furniture. For example, get this stacking chair for only €25, save 60%. Or this lounge set for only €975, save 60%. Yisk.
Scandinavian sleeping and living.
It's pronounced Faye.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Creamy, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Thick, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Protein rich. Fire.
It's pronounced Faye for a reason.
What is this?
Guys, make way. For the designated driver.
Sorry there. My wayward tee shot back on the 15th.
The very sure alarm went off. Checking it wasn't a break-in. I'll be here till it gets sorted.
Great service. You're getting this in my home.
To get Verisure with private security guard service plus a free security camera install, call now or visit verisure.ie.
SuperValu believe in community, and community includes everyone.
There we have the coin toss being held by Joe McQuillan, who's probably refereeing his final senior inter-county game because he is forced to retire at the end of this season because he's turning 50, and referees who take charge of the semi-finals don't tend to take charge of the final as well, so it's likely to be Joe's final game. 4 All-Ireland finals for that man as well, so a very proud day for the Kill Shamrocks man and for County Cavan too. Kerry won the toss, by the way. You wanted to get straight back to kickouts because we talked about Niall Morgan's kickout already, but Shane Ryan as well.
Yeah, we're just talking about Shane Ryan, that, you know, one of the weaknesses probably in the Tyrone game all year has been their press. And, you know, they really, if they give Shane Ryan 10 or 11 short kickouts because the Kerry defence movement is excellent, that's going to give Kerry ample amounts of possession, which they'll likely get shots off. I think they definitely would have looked at the Meath game where Meath really pinned Kerry in. I know it wasn't Kerry's best performance, but Meath were electric in the work rate in terms of the press and getting bodies down to the break. Kerry didn't get out of their half for 10, 12 minutes, and that's Tyrone need a period like that in this game if they're going to really, really rattle Kerry.
But if you think about it, the last match Kerry played, Tyrone got a full-on view of Kerry at their best when they're pressing, when they're attacking, all players. So surely in the last 2 weeks they would have done as much homework. I don't expect to see Niall Morgan, well, possibly he is good enough to go short. I expect him to bomb most balls over the top and rattle Kerry, because if you rattle Kerry on one of the long kickouts, then they're half spooked and they might creep back a small bit and you'll get more short ones off.
And the other thing here is, like, Kerry, okay, a lot was made of that 15 minutes, but in the first half, Armagh were winning plenty of kickouts. In the first half, Armagh dominated a lot of that game as well. I don't think Tyrone will fear Kerry in around the middle. Okay, they've got Ben in there now as well, but with Brian and Con in there, it's Tyrone's first choice midfield and has been for 5-6 yeyears. Kerry's a little bit experimental looking in that area as well, so I don't think Tyrone will be that spooked by the middle.
I would agree that maybe that 15-minute dominant period that Kerry had where they wiped Armagh maybe was overstated a small bit, and that's where Tyrone have to avoid those periods of dominance.
I do want to go back to the matchups, because you were debating who might pick up who, and you, Sean, mentioned Ben McDonagh coming in and helping her in the middle. We haven't really talked about what a massive loss Rory Brennan is to that Tyrone defence.
Yeah, Rory's the fulcrum of the defence. He's the brains, and a lot of the guys in terms of shape and patterns would have fed off what Rory did. He was brilliant at sweeping, and for someone to sweep in front of David Clifford, which you always need, not having Rory there has definitely made me a little bit less confident coming down and seeing that news. But look, Nell Devlin, Cormac Quinn, Paddy Hampshire, all very, very, very good man markers. They're going to have to stop Johnny O'Shea, Clifford and Paddy Clifford, and it'll be...
I think today will be their toughest test. If Tyrone can hold that Kerry forward line today, they can go a long way to upsetting it, but I think they'll struggle with them.
But the way the game has gone, Joanne, let's be honest and frank about it. It's trying to limit David Clifford's damage. They're gonna have to tag Johnny O'Shea and stop his influence, and then it's the creator in the middle, Paddy Clifford. They're the three guys, and that they have to stifle.
The other thing to mention here, lads, it isn't all about the Kerry forwards. Tyrone have some brilliant forwards in there themselves that hasn't really clicked yet. And you see, if we do see McElholm's waiting for a massive performance. McCurry was a bit off the last day. Expect him to come back to Dark Canavan. We haven't seen the best of him. All of a sudden, it could flip very quickly.
And Shane Lowry watching on amongst this big crowd here in Croke Park. Interestingly, we know Kerry got those 17 goals, more than anybody across the 4 divisions in the National League. They scored 10 in their first 3 championship matches, but they've only actually got 4 in their 4 games since, and 3 of those came in the one match against Cavan. Tyrone have had 5 clean sheets in their 6 championship games, so they've only conceded 2 of them, both against Mayo. Once was from a Niall Morgan a mistake, and 1 was from a penalty, so that's another dynamic to come into this game as well. Most mean live to talked up the fall Oscar Gary McDonagh, August Darrow Canada, serve you Aaron RT player, August Aaron RT News Channel, for our commentary team here for this first All-Ireland football semi-final. It's Eamon alongside Dara.
Joanne, thank you very much indeed. It is a baking hot day in Dublin City. The temperature at the moment is 26 degrees, but that is the official temperature, and that's in the shade, so it is warmer down at pitch level. Up here, there's actually a very nice breeze, and the breeze down at pitch level is significant as well. Kerry won the toss, and they've opted to play with it. Now, it's not blowing directly down the field, it's blowing in to the corner at the junction of the Davin stand and the Hogan stand, but it will be an advantage, and it will also be a little bit of a relief for the players down there, because it is very, very warm. Paddy Clifford, there was no surprise in seeing his name added to the starting team for Kerry. At 26 possessions when he came on against Armagh in 35 minutes of football. He has a huge influence on this team, and the players have completed their route around the pitch here. Gavin White is the Kerry captain, and Brian Kennedy from Derry Loughlin on the banks of Lough Neagh is the Tyrone captain. He stepped up to the plate this year. He was vice-captain last year for Tyrone. There is Brian Kennedy, part of that formidable midfield partnership. So the teams have broken away from behind the Artane band, and they've gathered on the respective 45-metre lines into their huddles, because now on All-Ireland semi-final day, we're going to have Aaron Naveen. But before we do that, there is a minute's silence in memory of Barney John Kelly of Galbally Pierce's club in Tyrone, a player for that club, a vice president of that club, and a caretaker of his club as well. And we remember Barney John Kelly and his family in Croke Park today.
Croke Park this afternoon. يشكي برابع عمديش sing our national anthem before our national games. We celebrate our heritage, our identity, and the culture passed down to us. We all have a duty to uphold this tradition and demonstrate its value through our actions, setting an example for our youth and communities by respecting the anthem until its conclusion. And Ishakorja, our own Avian, or Castle doing a Banakiola Dain, Free Steward Dara Penber.
Huge crowd in Croke Park for the first All-Ireland football semi-final. There is Joe McQuillan from Cavan, more than likely his last senior inter-county match as a referee. Joined the inter-county panel in 2003, took charge of 4 All-Ireland finals, and this a very big day for him, and it's a very big day for him as well. Dara Canavan. These two first met in the 1986 All-Ireland final. They have built up quite a rivalry, particularly over the last 20-odd years. A place in the All-Ireland final is the prize, the massive prize on offer in Croke Park today. So away we go. Joe McQuillan gets us underway. Mark O'Shea went in for the throw-in. He's a brilliant basketball player for Killarney Lakers. Tyrone have a free right at the start. Kieran McGeary will watch for his role the way it unfolds. That's Matty Donnelly. Owen McElhone. Tyrone starting with a pacey attack. That's Dara Canavan. 117 he scored, and that was almost like a choke tackle, but it wasn't. They just held him up, and Kerry have turned over Tyrone already. There's Shawnee O'Shea. 141 he scored this year. Gavin White from Dr. Croke's. Brian O'Bughley from Gaeltacht into Tyrone territory. Toddy Clifford. Joe O'Connor. Dylan Gainey from Dingle. So a controlled start to possession for Kerry. Mark O'Shea has actually gone in to full forward.
Huge space to attack here now.
Space, absolutely. They've opened it up. Brian O'Bughley on the 40-metre arc. Now they go. Here's David Clifford. Clifford still going. Clifford was fouled. Caught by the Tyrone captain, Brian Kennedy. He made the space just as if by magic.
Yeah, they opened it up nicely there. In terms of the matchups, we spoke about him beforehand. McLome is playing as one of the 3 up at the far side. Dylan Casey's marking him. Jason Foley's on McCurry. Paul Murphy's on Dara Canavan at the far side. Hampsey's on David Clifford. Niall Devlin is tracking Paddy everywhere. Dylan Casey's up. Cormac Quinn's on him. And Peter Teague is picking Shawnee Shea.
And that is a nice, easy one for Shawnee O'Shea to open his account.
Yeah, Kerry, we haven't seen that much of them. You mentioned it about Mark O'Shea going right in there, Dara. They opened up the whole pitch and they had space to attack. Brian O'Bughley attacked it initially and got it to David and worked the foul.
So Niall Morgan is kicking into the breeze. That was Mark O'Shea with the bat down. We could see a lot of that today. It's a clever play, but Tyrone have secured their own ball after a fashion. Look at the ferocity of the Kerry tackling early on. Kieran McGeary, 2021 Footballer of the Year. Always seems to play well against Kerry. That's in long, and it's towards Darren McCurry, Tyrone's all-time top scorer in championship football. Matty Donnelly, one of the over 30s in the Tyrone team. Peter Tague plays as a midfielder with his club. Owen McElhone. McElhone is quick, very quick, and he gets around O'Shea. Checks back out for help. Kieran Daly. And Daly spotted a bit of a gap. Daly is through, and there's the first score for Tyrone. That was nicely done. Big assist for Owen McElhone.
Excellent from Kieran Daly, Dara. He's playing great football, carrying on with his form from the quarter-final. Cut inside, finished nicely. It'll settle Tyrone because they've had a couple of fumbles up front.
So Kerry, lots of movement, and well, that seemed like a formality that they were going to claim their own kick out off Shane Ryan, but Tyrone had other ideas. Kieran Daly moving again. Owen McElhone. You can see just how much of a live wire he is. There's just constant energy from him. McGeary. Shawnee O'Donnell. He scored 2 goals for Tyrone. Owen O'Donnell has got a gap. Look, he's got through here. O'Donnell for Tyrone has hit the deck. Well, that's a foul, a clear foul by Joe O'Connor. He knew exactly what he was doing. Is there going to be a card for Joe O'Connor for this? I wonder.
Yeah, great break from. Yeah, no, it wasn't really a cynical tackle there. He attacked the ball all right. Nevertheless, a foul. You mentioned Owen McElhone there. For a young player getting his first start in a huge game, he's handled the ball 3 times already, so he's settled in, and that's dangerous for Kerry.
Dara Canavan gives Tyrone the lead from the free, and that was all from Kerry not winning their own kick-out.
Yeah, they're spread out all over the place. This is something different we haven't seen from them before. They're not using that punch and break yet.
Galway did a bit of that in the Connacht final where they had these 2-player pods. Tyrone win it again. Matty Donnelly brings so much experience to this team. Here's Con Kilpatrick. Kerry look really open. Darren McCurry. Brilliant save from Shane Ryan. Well, he would have expected to save it. McCurry went for the corner, and you know what? He was right to have a go.
Absolutely, Dara. You mentioned it. It's obviously coming from the kickouts. You're losing your own kickouts. It's Armagh all about it. The last day you come under pressure, so Kerry might revert to their bunch and break for the next one because they're good at getting that away.
Now Kerry picking their way up the field. Here's Paddy. Just eases the ball in to the brother. Paddy has got it again. Dancing away from Tyrone players with the ball turned over. Tyrone had that red hand wall back there in front of Paddy Clifford. Early signs are good for Tyrone.
Yeah, off camera there, Cian O'Neill had a word with Shane Ryan. He came over to the sideline, so I'd expect whatever approach they take on their next kick out, it'll be a different one, Dara.
Darren McCurry from Eden Dork. Shawnee O'Donnell. Kieran Daly moving it to Darren McCurry. Kieran McGeary. So they're going right down the middle again. They cut Kerry open, and Kieran McGeary has really hit top form, hasn't he? I know it's early days, but he's been looking for the ball. Looks lively. 3-1 they lead.
Worked it well, played it inside, set it up, 1-2, simple 1-2, and got it.
There's another Kerry kick-out that has been won by Tyrone. And here they come again, Dara Canavan. Joe O'Connor trying to get the tackle in on McGeary.
He's excellent in the ball, Dara. He's always good to evade fellas when they're tackling him.
Darren McCurry. Tyrone with so much more of the ball. We're looking at a graphic that says they've 70% of it. Here's Darren McCurry. No. First wide of the game.
Shane Ryan's going back to that one where he's getting it down the tee and out very fast. This was the shot from Darren McCurry. Like you said, you'd expect Shane Ryan, a keeper of his quality, to save that.
Now, Con Kilpatrick was brilliant there. He made up an awful lot of ground because it looked like an easy take out the field for Sean O'Brien. Nothing easy here, as it should be on All-Ireland semi-final day. Owen McElhone buzzing around again. That's Paul Murphy in front of him. Darren McCurry.
It's satisfying for Tyrone that there's so many of their key players have handled so much ball already. There are 7.5 minutes into the match.
Kieran McGeary. Matty Donnelly wanted that played around the back. Again, they open up a big gap in front of their full forward line. Con Kilpatrick. The breeze in his face. Did he have a thought about a two-pointer? You can be sure he did. Shawnee O'Donnell. It's a little bit more comfortable as well for the players when they're playing on this side in the shade. There's not a cloud in the sky. Matty Donnelly. Donnelly taking on Mark O'Shea. Kieran McGeary. So composed from Tyrone, patient. But Kerry happy just to sit there and stay in their shape. Brian Kennedy. That's Ben McDonnell. Owen McElhone. Now McElhone. Well, Paul Murphy wanted somebody to come across. It was Gavin White he was beckoning towards. Kieran McGeary. Here go Tyrone again. Ball turned over. Good defending by Kerry, but they're put under ferocious pressure, and that's going to be a free to Kerry.
Yeah, brilliant from Joe O'Connor there. That's a speciality, that tackle around the back where he punches the ball away and forces the turnover. But previous to that there, I would have felt from Kerry, it was way too passive. They were standing off. There was no contact whatsoever with the Tyrone lads, and as soon as they started to make contact, then they're increasing the chance, obviously, of a turnover, which Joe O'Connor executed very well there.
Here's Mike Breen, another one in the Kerry panel who's had injury issues but recovered sufficiently to take his place in the half-back line. That's Matty Donnelly back there with him, Toddy Clifford and Gavin White. Graham O'Sullivan. 3 ahead of him. Joe O'Connor made a dart through as the distraction. Shawnee O'Shea and Gavin White encouraged to shoot, and White's got under that one completely, and he's missed that by a long way. That's Kerry's first wide.
Yeah, I was telling there when Shawnee O'Shea was past the ball on the edge of the arc there, Peter Teague was on him straight away. He's not going to get the space to have the pop, so if he is getting an opportunity to shoot, particularly in the first half with the breeze, it will be under pressure.
Kerry's sole score was that free in the second minute. Niall Morgan getting massive distance on that, and Tyrone win their own ball. Shawnee O'Donnell. Kieran McGeary. Matty Donnelly. McGeary's just pulling on the strings at the moment, have been allowed to do so. Peter Teague had a couple of years out of the team. Owen McElhone.
Yeah, Tyrone like these slow phases. They're happy to play this way, Darren. In general, at the end, they end up getting a shot off.
Yep. Kieran Daly from Trillick. Brings some pace into it now, and he's got it back from Matty Donnelly, his clubmate. Kieran Daly loves that. Wonderful score. They got a shot off. They got a point out of it. It's 4-1 Tyrone.
Yeah, it's excellent. Shane Ryan managed to get a short away there to Joe O'Connor. Got it down on the tee quick.
That's 4 points without reply for Tyrone. Bringing up Yugli. Gavin White. Dylan Gainey. Shawnee O'Shea. Graham O'Sullivan moving towards Gavin White. Now it's David Clifford. Clifford with Padraig Hampsey. Shawnee O'Shea. This is for 2 from David Clifford. Caught by Niall Morgan. Unusual to see David Clifford do that.
Yeah, they opened it up very well, yeah, because both of them were marked tightly. Shawnee and David, the interchange of passes opened it up, and with the way the breeze is, suits a left footer into that side, so you would have expected it to go dead, but they have it back.
Tyrone move breaks down. Gavin White. Now Dylan Gailey going long, direct. Here's David Clifford out in front of Hampsey. Clifford turns back around, has support and plenty of it. Dylan Gainey should score, and Dylan Gainey does score. It's their first point in 11 minutes, second of the game.
Yeah, excellent from Dylan Gainey. They forced the turnover in the first place, and it's the first time that they've looked to kick the ball inside like that. Dara, good ball inside, great accurate kick to David, and Dylan continued his run, came off and finished well. He is a finisher, and you'd expect him nothing more from him.
Niall Devlin. Devlin lets the ball do the work. Darren McCurry and Kieran Daly's taken up a great position. Got free to pass to him, maybe a little bit on the slow slide from McCurry, but he had to make sure he had control of the ball. Here they come again. Owen McElhone. McElhone on his left, and McElhone is some player. 5-2.
He's an exciting player, Dara. He's buzzing around, as you said already. Maybe not exciting from a Kerry perspective today, but fantastic score for him. And as I said already, he's really settled into the game. And a young fella playing with no fear like that is a dangerous option for Tyrone.
5 scores from 7 scoring opportunities for Tyrone. Kieran McGeary. Kerry are in bother on their own kick-out.
I'd say they've lost every long, Dara. The ones they've won have been the shorts.
Darren McCurry gets out in front of Dylan Casey, and McCurry, you don't see that every day. Fumbled it, free out Kerry. Like those Tyrone forwards, the movement. McCurry was way out in front of Casey. Casey got lucky. Now it's Shawnee O'Shea for Kerry. Goal scoring opportunity, maybe. He goes for the point and he's hit the post. Again, you don't see that every day from Shawnee O'Shea.
Yeah, unusual things happening there. These unusual things tend to happen to Kerry when they're playing Tyrone.
Matty Donnelly. Brian Kennedy. Joe O'Connor wasn't happy with the referee's decision, and Kennedy, yeah, I think he wanted a call for overcarrying earlier on, a few seconds before that.
It's outstanding work rate from Joe O'Connor there, but he needs more help. More of the Kerry lads need to be doing that and approaching it like that. When he put on the heat and Brian Kennedy, as you said, he forced him into overcarrying, standing off, being passive. The Tyrone lads are so good in the ball and like playing that way, they're going to trouble you.
Shawnee O'Shea. Toddy Clifford. Clifford getting away from Niall Devlin. Brilliant injection of pace. Clifford managed to get the ball away. There's an advantage being played. We may not need it. Gainey goes through. So the ball was wide from Dylan Gainey, so we're going back for the free. The advantage was being played.
Yeah, Dylan is a finisher. That was a good chance for him to get a goal there.
Malik O'Rourke, his first year in charge of this team. They've had some year, and that's Cian O'Neill with Jack O'Connor. So actually the stoppage in play, there's bottles of water been thrown in to the players, which is very sensible on a day like today. Shawnee O'Shea has got 2 out of Kerry's 3 points, both from frees.
Kerry had a chance now to set up a bit of a press here, Dara, and playing with the wind. Niall Morgan can't bomb it as far as he will be able to in the second half. And see, he's gone straight down the middle.
Right down the middle from Morgan, who was involved with the Tyrone minor team that beat Kerry in the All-Ireland final. Kerry have won the Tyrone kick-out. Shawnee O'Shea to David Clifford. Hampsey in front of him again. Clifford goes around him. Here's David Clifford. He got 3 goals in the league game. He's got a point here. And he's not done by a long way, is he? 2 in a row for Kerry.
Excellent. They were well prepared for that long kick out. Their press set up. Joe O'Connor was in a good position to get in under the break. They anticipated. Shawnee O'Shea kicked it again. When they're kicking it inside to David, they're getting trouble. They're causing trouble.
And Niall Morgan taking his time over this.
He's coming down in front of us this time.
Yeah, he's gone for Kieran McGeary.
Excellent kick out.
Found him as well. Oh, that was a challenge that was right on the edge on Padraig Hampsey. Dara Canavan. Paul Murphy is his marker. Canavan now pulling the strings for Tyrone. Con Kilpatrick ahead of him. Canavan jinking one way, then the other. He doesn't need much space. Oh, brilliant from Shane Ryan. He didn't hit it particularly hard, but you've seen him do that before and score, Dara Canavan. Maybe the wind had an effect, but there's no point and no score.
Yeah, it was excellent from Dara Canavan in the first place. I think Shane Ryan almost used the crossbar with one hand to pull himself up and managed to knock it down with the other hand. It was incredible athleticism.
Are you allowed to do that?
I don't know. Well, we can't be blamed for bringing in that rule anyway, Dara.
Mike Breen. Space down the middle for Shawnee O'Shea, taking on Peter Tague, and O'Shea for two. He didn't catch that one either, so that's two two-point efforts. David Clifford had one earlier on, and that one from Shawnee O'Shea dropping short into the hands of Niall Morgan.
Yeah, even though it's with the breeze there, it's for a right footer. The breeze is fighting that shot, so you won't get it as far. It's more suited for a left footer into that end.
Here's Matty. Well, they just invite him to keep going, Matty Donnelly, and he doesn't need a second invitation, and neither does Shawnee O'Donnell.
Yeah, fantastic from Shawnee O'Donnell. He's as likely to score a goal as he is to get a point. Good kick out from Shane Ryan, got that one away because they'd lost the previous 5 long ones.
That's what a take that is from David Clifford. Not fouled by Padraig Hampsey. This is for 2, and he gave that the lot, didn't he? Made absolutely sure. Punches the air in delight.
Yeah, he's huge range. Obviously, I've just mentioned it, that breeze is suiting that kick. That's straight over the black spot. David's loving it. Good celebration. Another excellent kick out from Niall Morgan. Con Kilpatrick often picks up that position down between 4 and 7, and Morgan hits his clubmate every time.
So the teams are level after the 2-pointer from David Clifford. Cormac Quinn comes forward. Shawnee O'Donnell has seen a lot of the ball. That's not a great pass. Comfortable interception from Jason Foley.
And Kerry are struggling a small bit between matchups and zone at the back there, that, you know, certain players, the likes of Shawnee O'Donnell, the likes of Owen McElhone, they're getting on a lot of ball and they're doing a lot of probing. Something happened there.
Yeah, it's a reaction from the supporters here, but the referee happy to play on, as are Kerry, Paudie Clifford. There's Gavin White, who ended up on the ground. Bringing up Yugli for another 2. David Clifford. Oh, that's tight, and he's hit the post. They've hit the post for the second time. Shawnee O'Shea did it earlier on. Niall Morgan coming, what, 44 metres away from his own goal line. Matty Donnelly. Kieran McGeary full of running. Graham O'Sullivan is the Kerry player in front of him. They let the ball move. That was for Dara Canavan, intercepted though by Mike Breen. That's what he's there to do. Paul Murphy and Joe O'Connor from Austin Stacks in Tralee. Dylan Casey.
Tyrone are willing to kick a bit more inside today, but it's not quite coming after them. Malachy O'Rourke and Ryan Porter were frustrated with that one. The kicks are being left slightly short.
Here's Joe O'Connor. And Con Kilpatrick. O'Connor goes away from advantage being played. There's a goal-scoring chance for Kerry. They could nearly walk it in. We're going to go back for the free. They did try and walk it in, didn't they? Joe O'Connor working with Shawnee O'Shea. Niall Morgan ends up on the ground. It's a free in.
I think I'll give more credit to Niall Morgan here. He just read it. He got a brilliant hand and a brilliant save on the return pass. It's what players are always told to do. It's easy to say it from the 7th floor that maybe Shawnee should have just stepped inside and slipped it in. But brilliant anticipation from Niall Morgan. Great work from Joe O'Connor in the first place. Fantastic atmosphere here, Dara.
There sure is. Joe O'Connor at full pace is quite a sight, isn't it? And Con Kilpatrick was there with him. The same could be said for him. Kieran Daly getting some instructions from Malachy O'Rourke. So Niall Morgan collided with his own man, Shawnee O'Donnell. So that's why they're having the treatment. Jack trying to lead Kerry to another All-Ireland final. in his third spell in charge, so the medic's taking great care. This is that incident down at the other end involving Kieran Daly and Gavin White. That was, remember, you heard the reaction of the crowd?
Yeah, he got a bit of a dunt, all right. We'll give Niall the benefit of the doubt that he was going for the ball in the first place, but Gavin White, in fairness to him, isn't the fella that would be going down easily, so he felt it.
So you include the two-pointer from David Clifford. In the last 6 minutes, Kerry have scored 4 points out of the last 5 scored in the game. And this is for the lead. The referee, Joe McQuillan, is just telling Padraig Hampsey to move back the required distance. David Clifford scores. So they're back in front for the first time since the second minute.
Yeah, they're set up press-wise here again now, so the last time Niall Morgan was able to get one to the 4 pocket, Brianna Beagley is pushing all the way up this time to take that one up. Kerry have 5 players inside the 45. Expected long again in central, Darren. We'll see who'll win the break.
That's exactly what's happened. The distance on it, though, into the breeze is huge, and they got that Donegal-style tip-on. Here's Con Kilpatrick. Kilpatrick was pulled back, was he? No, the referee not playing an advantage. Kilpatrick can't get the shot away. He had options either side, but took too much out of it. And here come Kerry. Different feel about it on this attack. Dylan Casey involved, Paudie Clifford. David Clifford is the furthest forward. Again, he gets distance on Hampsey. Thought about it on his right. Graham O'Sullivan. Sean O'Brien to just keep the ball moving. Shawnee O'Shea bringing up Beagley beside him. Beagley with the shot. That's a really good effort, but it's not good enough. Third one, they've dropped short.
Yeah, the anticipation around the Morgan kick-out was brilliant, because not only did Kilpatrick win it, he was gone, but there was great scramble defence. You can see that Kerry have that safety valve in place, that if they do lose it long, that they're getting back centrally to make sure they're not conceding a goal, worst case scenario.
Ben McDonald. McDonald hit the ground, and that's Kieran Daly now. Owen McElhone. They haven't been able to get him on the ball in Kerry territory in the last while. Darren McCurry. Kieran McGeary. McElhone again. This is Niall Devlin from Coal Island. Matty Donnelly. Matty Donnelly again. The 1-2 with McCurry. Donnelly's in around the back. Matty Donnelly for a goal! He got the point out of it. They worked that nicely, didn't they? 7 each.
Yeah, massive opportunity for him. He'd be disappointed possibly that he didn't get a goal out of it. Simple 1-2, Dara. It's still as effective as ever. Get in behind the wily old fox, Matty Donnelly, with a great score.
Made his championship debut for Tyrone in 2012. Oh, McElhone in the way. That was a mistake from Shane Ryan. Oh, and McElhone. They could have had a goal 60 seconds ago. McElhone decided to take on the point, and that has been put wide. And the most relieved man in Croke Park is that fella, Shane Ryan.
Yeah, they dodged the bullet there, Dara. They had, I don't know if it's that they're keeping it for the second half, but they're so good at getting that bunch and break kick out away. They haven't used it at all, and they are clearly under pressure.
Gavin White got the kick out from Shane Ryan. That time it was a much easier take and a much easier kick for Shane Ryan. Dylan Gainey, Shawnee O'Shea. Bringing up Beagley beside him. Graham O'Sullivan just opening up some space for Beagley. Joe O'Connor is outside the 40-metre arc. Mike Breen. Shawnee O'Shea. I suppose we've become used to these kind of lulls in the atmosphere, but there is a brilliant atmosphere here today, and it's knife-edge stuff, but just when either team have it in these kind of areas, you're just waiting with anticipation to see where they open or try to open the opposition up.
In the last attack there, Malachy O'Rourke was talking to Ben McDonald.
Now let's see, here is David Clifford. They've worked it to him. Clifford! Came off the outside of his left boot.
Yeah, he went for power, and I think it was actually Ben McDonald that was coming across that put off his shot slightly. Ben McDonald now has started tracking Mark O'Shea in those runs that you spoke about earlier, Darragh, where Mark O'Shea goes into the top of the square in those slow attacks. Brian Kennedy is staying out the field. It's possibly for this scenario here where Brian Kennedy isn't burning all his energy going in and he's ready for long kickouts.
So that one was away easily for Con Kilpatrick. Kieran Daly. Kieran McGeary. Surge out from Dara Canavan. Canavan gets the shot away, made the space, and Dara Canavan scores. 28th-minute little punch of the air. They're in front again.
Outstanding score, dodged inside, came back out onto his left, no problem, straight over the bar. When Dara Canavan catches fire in Croke Park, that's again danger for Kerry.
Shane Ryan, that's just a one-on-one battle out there, and it's been won with the help of Shawnee O'Donnell. For Tyrone, Owen McElhone. Cormac Quinn has joined the attack, and he's gone in playing like a full forward, even though he's got number 2 on his back. Matty Donnelly. Donnelly fancies it, and Donnelly makes space. Really good blocked out. Dara Canavan almost on the end of that. That was superb. It needed to be from Gavin White.
Yeah, that outstanding defending from Gavin White. He needed all his pace to get there, got there and retrieved what would have been a very dangerous situation.
Joe O'Connor. Sean O'Brien. Mike Breen. That's Kieran McGeary ahead of him. What a ball in around the back. Here's a goal chance, surely! Who else? Who else but David Clifford? They found the opening. This is wonderful.
Brilliant from Mike Breen. Dara, what composure from David. That's what they've lacked in some of their other shots, whether at the goal or at third points. But that dummy bounce, brilliant, opened it up. He anticipated Morgan coming and finished. Big score, Parton score.
Taking the acclaim of the Kerry crowd in Croke Park. David Clifford got 3 against Tyrone in the league game. He has finally opened his account now. And actually, the roar from the crowd, he ended up on the deck. David Clifford. Kerry win the Tyrone kick-out. Dylan Gainey. They go for David again. And now Pawdy. Graham O'Sullivan. They could be in once more. They're going to get a point out of this. Really good spell for Kerry. They've hit the ground running now. It took a while.
Yeah, they're motoring there, and it's all come from that fantastic interception from Gavin White in front of the hill, where it looked like Tyrone were about to get a goal chance. He swept in. They got David's goal off it, and now that Graham O'Sullivan point, Tyrone are under pressure. They'll be conscious of that squeeze that Kerry got in Armagh. Shawnee O'Donnell is open. He's gone down the middle, though.
And Kerry win the Tyrone kick-out. Is that touched on the ground? Mike Breen. His pass for David Clifford was superb as well, just looping it over the head of the defender. Precision football. Bringing up Ugly, Pawdy Clifford. And Mark O'Shea out around the centre of the field. Spent a lot of time in at full forward. Brian Kennedy resumes his marking duties on him. Mike Breen. Last 5 minutes of the first half. They've opened up a 3-point cushion. Graham O'Sullivan. Pawdy Clifford. Bringing up Ugly. Away from Matty Donnelly. That was superb. He could go to his left to Mark O'Shea. O'Shea is in up Ugly once more. They're walking it in. Niall Morgan, superb. Kerry butchered the chance, and it's a free out. And Niall Morgan on with it straight away. They need to lift the siege a bit. Shawnee O'Donnell.
Kerry have left 2 certain, if not 3 certain goals after them, 2 that they should definitely have got. Just a small bit of composure at the end, but again, you have to give Niall Morgan massive credit.
Joe O'Connor, we saw him earlier on gesturing about over-carrying from the Tyrone player, one of the Tyrone players. I think it was Brian Kennedy, and he was having a word with the referee again there. Dara Canavan. Canavan still going. Paul Murphy kind of slammed the door in his face. Kieran McGeary curling it in and dropping it short. They're both at that. And the wind is difficult though.
Definitely into the hill. We saw it in the Tailteann Cup final as well, Dara. There was a lot of misses into the hill, short and being dragged wide.
Gavin White, the Kerry captain. Every member of both management teams down on the sideline in front of us, they're all wearing shorts. It is a glorious evening. Paul Murphy. Chance for Paul to spend some time in Tyrone territory. What a servant he's been for Kerry. Made his debut 11 years ago. Shawnee O'Shea. That's Peter Tague with him. Graham O'Sullivan. And here's Joe. Wants to have a run again. Brilliant from Joe O'Connor. Drilled through. That's come off the outside of his right boot. It's going to be a free in though. The shot went wide. Joe O'Connor, it's just brilliant when you see him do that. Not if you're in a Tyrone jersey though. Some sight.
Yeah, it was a late tackle just as he was kicking the ball. Darren McCurry had been sucked back there. McGeary came in late. Then McDonald is trying to fall back in front of David Clifford as much as he can, Dara, and at times what it's allowing Kerry set up those one-on-one situations outside the arc. We saw Joe O'Connor do it there. We saw Brian O'Beagley do it for the set up for the goal chance that wasn't. We saw Mike Breen break the line to set up David Clifford's goal, so they figured it out. It took them the most of the first half to figure it out, but they did figure it out.
David Clifford converted the point from this. That was that goal chance. Really brave from Niall Morgan, but brave's his middle name and all that, so very good. You expected to stop it though.
Yeah, it was. It was a great save. He's so good at getting to the player and crowding them just as they're about to take the shot.
So Niall Morgan's kick out. That was towards Ben McDonald. Tyrone have got it. Last minute of the first half. Kerry in a nice position. So Con Kilpatrick has been screaming for the ball and now it's eventually played to him. In the 27th minute, Tyrone were leading 8-7. Here's Con Kilpatrick. Put on a plate for Kieran McGeary. Darren McCurry. Matty Donnelly. Goal-scoring chance earlier on. Combining with Shawnee O'Donnell. Got a point already. So as we know at this stage, the team's well aware of the time. We'll have the hooter momentarily. I still think that's too loud. Here's Kieran Daly and Matty Donnelly. Last play of the first half, is it? Yes, it is, and that will give them some encouragement going in at half-time. Matty Donnelly with their first score in 8 minutes, and there's a goal between them at the break.
Yeah, great score, brilliant leadership from Matty Donnelly after the buzzer went. Straight away, Kieran Daly introduced a pace into Dara. Good score from him. Kerry will be disappointed, probably they're not a bit further ahead, but it's been a great battle, great match.
Yeah, and Tyrone will have the wind at their backs, albeit a tricky wind to cope with in the second half. It's delicately poised, it certainly is. Kerry lead Tyrone at half-time in the first All-Ireland semi-final by 1-9 to 9 points.
AIB, proud sponsors of the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship.
On the eve of an historic All-Ireland hurling final, as Tipperary prepares to meet Cork for the first time, join Des Cahill and Jackie Hurley for a fun-filled evening.
You're all very welcome to Up for the Match.
There will be GAA experts, entertainment and lots of fun. Plus Marty Morrissey and Anna Geary will be updating us from the counties.
Are you with us?
Yeah! It's amazing! Up for the Match. Next Saturday at 9:30 on RTE1 and RTE Player.
So she's back again with the rectangle, and then she looks at the rectangle and does this again and again.
We all do the same things with our phones, but you can get yours for less with Clubcard, like a Samsung Galaxy S24 FE for €49.99 on our €35 bill pay plan. Tesco Mobile, every little helps.
Ted, not again.
Super Value's freshly prepared range. Simple shortcut or secret weapon of the time-pressed home chef. We're not just cutting meat. Ooh, mind your fingers. We're crafting meals. And it's dinner deception of the most delicious kind. Don't worry, your secret's safe with us. And at this value, the savings are delicious. Super Value. The difference is real.
Hey! I'll be back in a second. Oh, you love them.
Be sweeter than the sweetest with the new Lynx Fine Fragrance Collection.
You might think you know Ireland's ancient East, but maybe it's time for a closer look. An extraordinary glimpse of the oldest of stories. A taste of excitement. To walk in step with history and raise our spirits with old friends and new.
I can't believe there's Vikings in Mexico. I know, it's mad, isn't it?
Keep discovering Ireland's ancient East.
What brings us out for our county, year after year after year, that stirs such passion in our hearts and makes the pride flow through our veins? It's our county. It's our people. It's in our blood.
Shh, relax, it's me. Huh? Future you, thank you for signing up to the Energia EV Smart Plan. It's a serious money saver, but you're more handsome. I know. I think it's new glasses.
With a 4-hour charging window, future you will thank you when they see what's possible with an Energia EV Smart Plan.
Well, we've seen a good star of the future. Of course, Owen McElroy may claim he's very much so a star of the present. That's what this man is, a 2-time Footballer of the Year and the absolute star of the opening 35 minutes of this All-Ireland football semi-final. And yet, Kerry are only leading Tyrone by that goal, 1-9 to 9 points. And they are only 38% conversion from play. So Kerry could be doing a whole lot better than that. 9 chances converted out of 17. Tyrone, 9 converted out of 15. So safe to say the shooting hasn't exactly been brilliant on either side, except Kieran Whelan, the man beside you there, wearing Tyrone colours, said beforehand he'd actually be okay if David Clifford only scored 8 points. So that wouldn't be a bad day at the office for Tyrone. Halfway through, he's got 1-5.
It's 8 points. Listen, he's the genius. He was the difference in that first half. You'd probably say it's a 6 out of 10 team Kerry performance, but after a dominant first 10-15 minutes, Tyrone would have been delighted with the way everything went. This was the first real move where Clifford sets up Keeney, and then mainly due to Joe O'Connor and his leadership in the middle of the park, they were aware of this Tyrone long kick out, and Clifford all of a sudden comes thundering into the game, gets this ball up the wing. You know, Tyrone have 2 men back. He just goes direct, takes Hampsey on the inside, cuts back in, backs himself a pace and over the bar. And then Shane Ryan, after struggling with his kickouts, gets a short one away. Very simple. He collects this ball right on the ground, a difficult ball for any forward to pick up, but manages to get back up. Gets back up with a Tyrone man around him. Absolute genius stuff off the left boot and 2-pointer. And then finishes obviously with the goal. And like the bounce is the key thing here. It's a typical backdoor cut, which we've seen many times. Again, he has the pace, he gets in behind, and it's the bounce when Morgan comes out just to give him that extra yard and to make it easy and finish in the back of the net. You know, an absolute top draw performance from a genius of a footballer. And as I said, Joanne, the funny thing about it is it's, you know, Kerry will look at that half. As we said, the scoring chances, they've hit the post 3 times, they've dropped it short 3 times. You know, Shawnee O'Shea has been curbed, Paddy Clifford has been curved. So much has gone right, probably that Tyrone would have liked to have gone right, but they still find themselves behind.
And before the match, we talked about Niall Morgan from a kick-outs point of view. Has he largely kept Tyrone in that with 2? Were they outstanding saves?
Yeah, I think definitely brilliant saves from Niall Morgan, and I think Kerry are creating chances. Joe O'Connor is absolutely having a whale of a game. Himself and David Clifford, between them, have kept Kerry on the front foot constantly. I think Tyrone have had plenty of possession, Joanne, but Kerry will say to themselves, keep doing what they're doing. If they can win enough ball around the middle of the field, they're tending to run at Tyrone, and they have them in 6 and 7 times. They could have finished that half with 3 goals. However, Tyrone are only 3 points off, and up the other side, and Sean's going to show a couple of scores from Tyrone, up the other side, Tyrone, when they break Kerry down, they've had enough ball to cause more damage, and they haven't. So that's a combination of turning ball over, Kerry intercepting a few balls, but if Tyrone can click that little bit more up front, but it's going to be impossible to stop the other man down the other side.
Well, speaking of the Tyrone guys, first of all, you did mention beforehand that you were still waiting for the likes of Darren McCurry and Dara Canavan to really come alive. We're still waiting on that, but we did see some of the... You thought that perhaps Kerry underestimated Owen McElhone. How is that possible?
Yeah, well, it's possible because he hasn't started for Tyrone. This is his first championship game, and earlier on he was electric, and we've seen this at under 20 level, we've seen it at schools level. But sometimes this happens. Sometimes Kerry focuses on the main players, and Kieran Daly was slipping in between the lines, popped up there on the right-hand side with a beautiful score. He was getting on a lot of possession. This man, he's going to be a star. We're talking about David Clifford being a star now. Owen McElhone will be a star for Tyrone for years to come, and I think today, in that early stages, he announced his arrival. Kerry has got the grips somewhat because of tricky breeze and whatnot, and I think Tyrone will look for more from a bit like this from Dara Canavan. Matty Donnelly has held the minute at times, but we need more from McCurry. We need more. Maybe Mark Bradley will come in there. The one thing about Tyrone is that they have that spread of scores, whilst Kerry has David. If anything happens to David down the other end, I think Kerry are snookered. The last time Tyrone played in these conditions...
Sorry, that's what you're hanging on, an injury to David Clifford?
There's nothing else to hang on to when you're talking about that man.
Simmering, like it's just going to pop. Like Kerry aren't far off from kicking properly.
Do you think, Sean, in that first 10-15 minutes that like they lost 7, they won 7 of the Kerry long kickouts? They just didn't hurt them on the scoreboard. I think they only got 1 point from it. That was a period to get at them.
Yeah, but look, we saw in the Tailteann Cup final that these goals are difficult to score into as well. Like, I'm sort of hopeful that with the breeze in the second half, Tyrone will get their scores handier.
Okay, we'll find out very shortly. Just that goal in it, but one man is on absolute fire.
SuperValue believe in community, and community includes everyone.
My name is Zach Moradi, and I grew up in a refugee camp. I was given a chance at a better life in Ireland. I found a community and a passion through sport, and I found a home. While my heart belongs to Ireland, my blood is Kurdish. I always felt like it's calling me back.
Home.
The story of Zach Moradi, Wednesday at 10:35 on RTE1 and RTE Player.
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it. Physically fit, physically fit, physically. Come on. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it.
What brings us out for our county, year after year after year, that stirs such passion in our hearts and makes the pride flow through our veins? It's our county, it's our people, it's in our blood.
You're generous with your time and you're always thinking of other people. And I think that's one of the attributes that made you into the person you are today and a great nurse. One of the concerns we had when you told us about your diagnosis was, is HIV transmissible and could you pass it on to, say, if you're having a family?
I just think it's so important for people to know that once you're on effective HIV treatment, you cannot pass on the virus to anyone.
Learning about HIV starts with you and me. Visit hse.ie/HIV to learn more.
Same again. Definitely. Midweek match. Definitely. For the grand old stretch. Definitely. The best tasting 0-0 beer in the world. Probably.
Super value freshly baked bread. Just another loaf? Or proof that patience pays off? You see, our bakers care for their bakes, raising them like one of their own. Look at that. Baking fresh loaves that look, smell, and sound a cut above. And at this value, it's the best thing since, well, you know yourself, Super Value. The difference is real.
Get back to school ready with Harvey Norman and get the latest from all the biggest brands. Save €100 on the Asus VivoBook laptop with a Nano Edge display and a larger screen for all your study needs. Now just €399. Bundle and save an extra €70 when you add Microsoft 365 Personal and McAfee, keeping your laptop protected and productive throughout the school year. And with our best price guarantee, why shop anywhere else? Harvey Norman, your back-to-school specialists.
Go!
AIB, proud sponsors of the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship.
A reminder of tomorrow's semi-final, Meath against Donegal live in the Sunday game from 3:15. They're expecting close to a sellout for that. We have nearly 62,500 here for the opening semi-final, which has David Clifford, Kerry leading Tyrone by that goal at half-time. What are Tyrone going to do? How can they change it up to try to stop him, outside of obviously injuring the man himself?
Yeah, lock David Clifford and the Hogan stand will be a start. But look, I'm actually reasonably confident. Five out of Tyrone's first or starting forwards have scored. Darren, very unlike him, had a quiet quarter-final, hasn't really come to the pitch of it. Mark Bradley, Rory Canavan's on the bench. They can fire those guys in very quickly. It's stifling David and making sure Paddy and Shawnee doesn't come to the pitch of it. If you put too much around David, you're almost hoping David's going to wear out at some point. He was playing angry. You could see it after the first couple of points he got. He was celebrating and fist pumping, and he was really stoked up. But I think Tyrone has a lot more they can do in their forward unit. I think with the breeze at their back, they're going to get more space, going to have more time to kick the ball in, and they're going to have to bank on the quality they have coming to the pitch of it.
What do you think, Kieran?
Yeah, listen, it's as we said before the game, it's risk-reward. You leave Clifford in that space, he's going to do damage, and you're trying to curtail the other Kerry strengths. But like for Tyrone's perspective, like they look very dangerous up front. They had a few misplaced kick passes that could have opened up Kerry a couple of times. The Kerry defence is definitely not as solid as we think it is. I do think it comes back to really that midfield battle, and Morgan's going to be able to land it longer with the wind at the centre forward position. Count Kilpatrick ran here and nearly got in once. He comes out to the wing and then he tries to get in off the break. If they can get some sort of foothold and Tyrone can get a couple of 2-pointers early in the third quarter, I think that's massively important to get a bit of energy behind them and get the crowd behind them, because they're in a very vulnerable position here that if Kerry get a run at them in the third quarter,
the goal chances that Kerry missed, you would expect that Tyrone are going to get some sort of chance of goals.
They've struggled for goals,
kicking over the
Tyrone
top of
have.
the midfield and with the breeze at their back. If those chances present themselves, they're going to have to nail them.
It was into that goal in their quarter-final that Tyrone scored 4 2-pointers as well.
Yeah, but I think Kerry would be aware of that. I think a big thing that's underestimated here is the work rate that Kerry have all over the pitch, especially in that middle third. They're not giving them much time. Tyrone are trying to pop those little pop passes in front of the full forward line, but there's an awful amount of swarming going on. And I do think that if David Clifford, and he could kick on, who knows, I think Paddy and Shawnee will try to force their way into the game a lot more. I think Paul Gainey will give them a big kick off the bench as well. So Conor Gainey will probably come off the bench as well. I just think that Kerry are not far off from clicking, but they must shut the door at the back, and they must bring that little bit of grit to make sure not to give Tyrone that sense of hope, basically, you know, and I think they can do that.
We know Peter Hart was a man who got the 2 of those 2-pointers last week as well. But you don't have Owen McElhone now to come off the bench and inject that bit of pace. So there's another risk reward like Kieran was mentioning.
Yeah, but you look onto that bench and you go Rory Canavan, Mark Bradley, Conor Mailer, Michael McKiernan, Frank Burns. There's a lot of quality there. And
How fit is McKiernan, do we know?
Well, he mustn't be that fit, because I'd imagine with David doing what he's doing, you would have expected he'd been fired in there fairly quick. But
the other thing, McKiernan is another 2-point option with Hart. You know, as the game opens up a bit, and it's probably right, the likes of Hart coming on when there's a little bit more space there that he can get opportunities. And McKiernan will take on 2-pointers as well if he comes on.
But matches are taken. Any team that goes very well on 2-pointers one game, next game it's nailed, because it's just shown.
But just in that last 15 minutes when the game opens up a bit, there may be opportunities if you've got kickers in.
Sorry, go on, Sean.
I would agree with Tomas in that the thing I think that's holding Tyrone back a little bit is that Kerry, if anything, has brought the aggression to this game. If Tyrone can get that aggression, that little bit of fire, I think that will create the spaces they need and try and get in behind this Kerry defence, because I do believe Tyrone will have the mismatches up front to exploit that.
And that goes back to that point. So Tomas was saying we see from week to week that teams go from kicking 2-pointers to not being allowed. But as you keep mentioning, that surely opens up all that space inside to be exploited if you have the players who can exploit it.
Yeah, and the other critical player, you know, Shawnee O'Shea there is obviously somebody hasn't been in, but the other critical player for me in the middle of the park has been Joe O'Connor. He was the one who really dragged them into the game when they were out of it in the first 10-15 minutes. Joe O'Connor is the heartbeat between the 50s, and whether he's going to need a little bit more support in that area in the second half, but he's had a phenomenal game.
Well, he's had a decent game as well. Niall Morgan with those 2 big saves in that opening half. It is just that goal between the sides. Let's find out what's going to happen in the next 35 or maybe more with Eamon and Dara.
You never know, Joanne. Stranger things have happened. 2 teams, as you can see, back out. We're just scanning around the field. Don't think there are any changes from the way we finished at the end of the first half.
McElhone on the line here. Dara, you can be sure if Brian Kennedy wins it, it's coming straight this way.
Brian Kennedy up against Mark O'Shea for the throw-in. The breeze is assisting Tyrone in the second half. Crowd of 62,434 here. And second half begins with Kerry leading by a goal. So they have secured a free off the restart. Here's Kieran McGeary. Loads of pace about him. McGeary wanted to get it into the right position and got the movement from Dara Canavan. And there's a perfect start to the second half for Tyrone. A pre-work, pre-planned move off the throw-in. They needed the ball. They got it.
Yeah, huge pace from McGeary in the first place. He wasn't willing to take on the shot, gave it to the right man. Good finish from Dara Canavan then. Super kick out from Shane Ryan.
Sure is. Shawnee O'Shea. Graham O'Sullivan in a lot of space. He scored a point in the first half, and Tyrone don't look set up properly at the back at all. Graham O'Sullivan, David Clifford, they're going to walk it in now, are they? And it's all very congested in there. Tyrone get bodies in the way. Back with Graham O'Sullivan. Shawnee O'Shea juggling with it, and then pressure comes in the shape of Con Kilpatrick, and it's a free into Kerry. Push in the back against Brian Kennedy.
Another goal chance that they probably forced a small bit too much. Kilpatrick, yeah, he pushed Shawnee Shea in the back there. Free in. I'd expect, Tomas mentioned it at half-time, I'd expect Paddy and Shawnee Shea to come into it a bit more in the second half, Dara. Paddy, because they're playing into a stiff enough breeze, and he'll get on ball and he'll pop it through the lines. Shawnee, that breeze suits right footers into the hill, and I'd expect him to get on ball and get a few scores.
Opposite again.
Great hand from Niall Devlin,
wasn't it? Yeah. But Kerry get a point out of that attack to put a goal between them again. David Clifford now with 1-6. Niall Morgan has put that right down on top of Kilpatrick. That was brilliant, really precise, but Kerry didn't have the option of Kilpatrick closed off. Matty Donnelly now wearing the number 11 shirt. Started the game wearing 14-11 is Peter Hartz. Owen McElhone. Peter Tague. Both teams probably changed the jerseys at half-time, so look, you can understand the mix-up. But that's definitely not Peter Hart. It's Matty Donnelly. This is Darragh Canavan for 2, and Canavan gets it. That's really good from Darragh Canavan. Closes the gap to 1.
Yeah, you can't stand off Darragh Canavan. Superb kick from the right pocket with the way that breeze is. Great score.
So that's Kerry possession. Mark O'Shea slets it off to Dylan Gainey. Gainey goes long. Oh, what a ball! Oh, David Clifford couldn't catch it. Maybe the sun is in his eyes. I've absolutely no idea, but it was a brilliant ball, a difficult skill to execute.
Yeah, moisture in the hands as well today. They're sweating so much. Darragh's son, he just took his eye off it at the last second, and he was thinking about what he was going to do next.
Which was to bury the ball, or attempt to bury it past Niall Morgan. It's a great pass over the top, though. That's brilliant defending from Jason Foley. McCurry knocked him to the ground, and Joe's at it again. Joe O'Connor. Peter Tague in front of him. O'Connor was an injection of pace there. Paddy Clifford. Somehow they get the ball through to Shawnee O'Shea. Wonderful football, Paddy Clifford! It's a point. He was after a goal. I think that's fair comment. All really precise.
Yeah, it was excellent the whole way. You mentioned it at half-time, Dara. I think that Kerry got 1-5 from turnovers in the first half. That was it from another big turnover. Jason Foley did outstanding. Moved the ball up the field. This is the incident with Darragh Canavan. He hurt his ankle. He's had ankle issues in the past, but he's up and he's moving away. That last kick out from Niall Morgan, you mentioned it, it was brilliant. Kerry were expecting a big, huge, long one, and he picked one in the middle on Con Kilpatrick.
And Kilpatrick went up after that, tried to break it down again. Gavin White has it for Kerry. Advantage been played, and off he goes. They attack quickly. Paddy Clifford. Joe O'Connor is ahead of him. Graham O'Sullivan screaming for it. They go back to Mark O'Shea. Gavin White. Paddy again.
Kerry are doing very well in those long kickouts and the breaks. They're really anticipating, but it only takes one to open up the defence, so they'll have to be conscious of that the whole way.
Shawnee O'Shea. Brian O'Bughley taking on Kieran Daly. Graham O'Sullivan was in at full forward a second ago. O'Sullivan gets the shot away, but it tails wide. That's their third wide. So,
yeah, Graham is capable of getting a score, but it probably wasn't the option there. He'd Shawnee O'Shea floating around him, and it would probably be a better decision to give it to him.
So we have a, yeah, they're going to change the shirt.
Well spotted, Dara.
Yeah, I probably got him into trouble, or the kickman into trouble, or Matty Donnelly. But anyway, we'll take the number 14, please. Clock stopped while all of that's happening. anxious faces on both benches with so much at stake. That's for Niall Devlin, got away nicely. Todrick Hampsey. Niall Devlin again. Kieran McGeary scored a point in the first half. They're 2 in arrears. And Paul Murphy using all his experience. The Tyrone fans don't like that. Darragh Canavan ended up on the ground. Joe O'Connor.
Darragh Canavan felt he was fouled, but great old school defending from Paul Murphy, attacking the ball similar to Jason Foley previously.
Now Tyrone look way open again. Dylan Gainey to Joe O'Connor. Joe trying to get away from the challenges. He's drawn a few Tyrone men towards him. Graham O'Sullivan. Dylan Gainey. Gainey in for Niall Morgan. Morgan anticipated that perfectly. And out he comes, Matty Donnelly.
Jack's fuming with that. He's fuming with these goal chances that they're constantly forcing and not just keeping the scoreboard ticking over. He was very animated after that miss there.
Owen McElhone. Matty Donnelly. The atmosphere has been brilliant all the way through. Donnelly heading towards the end line. Darragh Canavan on his left. Darragh scores. Little celebration from Darragh Canavan as well. Good things are happening for him.
Yeah, excellent. He was waiting all along for these big Croke Park games. Fantastic. This is the best of Darragh Canavan we've seen so far this year. Came from that chance where Kerry were trying to force the goal at the other side. I think the message has been received loud and clear now to keep the scoreboard working.
Ben McDonald just broke that down, but it's come to Gavin White of Kerry, and then he's dumped to the ground.
Gavin White's been outstanding again today, Dara. He's won some amount of breaking ball.
So some space over there for Sean O'Brien. When he made his championship debut for Kerry last year. Graham O'Sullivan. David Clifford. Todrick Hampsey in front. Clifford gets away again. Clifford steadies down, shoots, and you know the rest.
Yeah, it's outstanding. He's just having this incredible performance. He's impossible to mark when you're giving him ball in those one-on-one situations.
I mentioned Tyrone beat Kerry in the minor All-Ireland final recently. They beat them in the semi-final of the under-20s as well. What a take that is from Con Kilpatrick. And here's the pace. This isn't a slow attack at all. It's McElhone for Tyrone. Kerry get defenders back. McElhone with the shot. Kind of wasted it. He did waste it.
Yeah, that's one I was mentioning a minute ago. Winning one of those long ones and getting it away can lead to serious problems. McElhone won't be happy with that finish. One of the Kerry lads, whoever collided with Con Kilpatrick that time, I'd say is nursing their shoulder. They took a big contact.
Yeah, there's treatment on at the moment, you'll see. Right there, but Kerry play on with Graham O'Sullivan.
Sean O'Brien, I'd say.
Yeah. Here's Joe O'Connor. All action sort of player. Clifford is to his left. O'Connor! No, he puts his head in his hands because he was going for goal. They get a point and move 3 clear again.
He was going for goal, but you know what, they're after all the goal chances they're after squandering. They're better off just to keep that scoreboard working. Great drive. Intercepted again from Gavin White.
Gavin White, it's like there's 2 of him on the field. Dylan Gainey calling for it. Gainey's got in around the back. Oh! Morgan was beaten. It went right across the face of the goal and it's gone wide.
Brilliant from Gavin White, showing all his Dr. Croke's ability in terms of the hand pass in the first place. Dylan Gainey, the Gaineys are always sniffing goals, but again, that's another goal chance to scratch off for Kerry. If Jack didn't have a cap on, he'd certainly be scratching his head at this stage.
O'Shea got a touch on that. Kerry win the Tyrone kick out.
Mark O'Shea has been excellent as well in terms of disrupting the Tyrone kick-outs.
Dylan Casey down on the ground. Jack O'Connor, you can see, he's actually in on the field of play. He's furious with Joe McQuillan for that decision that went against Dylan Casey. Dylan Gainey's been winded as well in all of that. Tyrone on the attack with Peter Tague. And Tague, that's not one of his better efforts. They've kicked 3 wides as well, like Kerry.
Yeah, he got one against Dublin in the quarter-final, but mentioned it before, and at the point of repeating myself, I'm surprised the likes of Kieran McGeary isn't getting into that pocket over there, because it does big-time suit left-footers, and he got one against the Dubs as well. When Peter Hart comes on, you can be sure he'll be shooting from over there.
Shane Ryan. What a catch by Con Kilpatrick, and he's away from Shawnee O'Shea. It opens up in front of Kilpatrick. Awkward bounce of the ball. Momentum still in the attack, but they've been forced wide. Owen McElhone thought about it on his left, decided against it.
I think the earlier shot, Dara, he second-guessed himself. Yeah. He wasn't going to miss another one in a row.
And it kind of led to the awkward bounce. The doubt creeps in. Ben McDonald. He gets the shot away, and it's dropped short. May have been a touch from a Kerry player on it to take the sting out of it. Sean O'Brien takes it away for Kerry, and now Graham O'Sullivan.
And Kilpatrick has thundered into the game for Tyrone as well. He's having a big influence in proceedings.
Fouled by Shawnee O'Donnell. May have been a couple of them.
Pace of the game has been frantic there. I wouldn't be surprised, bearing in mind the heat, for a bit of the pace to be taken out at certain times. Not here.
And not with David Clifford about. Graham O'Sullivan has got ahead of the ball. They go back to Paddy Clifford. Bringing up Yugley. Tyrone are going to make 2 substitutions. Mark Bradley is one of them, and Michael McKiernan is the other. You just wonder how fit Michael is. He's battled so hard to get back into the match day 26. Now it's Joe O'Connor through. O'Connor! Well, he made no bones about that. Absolutely buried it over the crossbar.
What another Superman performance from this fella, Dara. He's tackling, he's working, he's winning breaks, he's bursting through every time he gets the ball. He's putting pace in it. Fantastic play from Joe O'Connor. Great score.
So Michael McKiernan gets a huge roar from the Tyrone faithful here, and a welcome as well from Joe O'Connor. Ben McDonald is the player to go off, and Darren McCurry is replaced by Mark Bradley, a player who was away from the Tyrone panel, went travelling for a while, but does love the new rules.
Michael McKernan's shoulder is fine anyway after his injury. He's got a good test there.
So 4 between them. And now it's Killian Spillane who replaces Dylan Gainey. And he gets a huge ovation. Malachy O'Rourke just gesturing towards the forward line that he wants more energy. I think Peter Hart's going to come in too. No wonder they needed the number 11 jersey back from Matty Donnelly. All his talents, and one of them is the 2-point threat for Peter Hart. Oh, brilliant. Back down again. Here we go. Matty Donnelly couldn't get it under control first time. Mark Bradley. Fresh legs in. Derek Hanavan. Peter Tague. Oh, and Michael McKernan left it after him. Tague recovered the situation. Derek Hanavan. Screaming for it is Kieran McGeary. That's where he's gone. Matty Donnelly wants it to his right. Mark Bradley is there too. McGeary. Kieran Daly started the match so well, kicked 2 points. Jinking away from Kerry defenders. Mark Bradley inside. Bradley puts the head down. Joe O'Connor. I tell you, if you're just giving the fella the all-star now, that was his little touch to take the ball away from Mark Bradley. They did so well on turnovers and have all the way through this game. Referee playing an advantage. Jason Foley down, clutching his back. Push in the back, free to Kerry. And some treatment needed for Jason Foley.
This is going to be a Kerry.
Yeah,
is this the first Kilpatrick?
It is, yeah.
In too many Kerry Tyrone Championship games over the years that you've nearly got to 50 minutes without a card. he got good value for it. He got 2 clips. He got a clip of Jason and a clip of Sean Shea afterwards.
So yellow for Con Kilpatrick.
I'd say it's probably for the first foul on, well, that was just a push.
Yeah. Ball back in play. David Clifford. Paddy. Those microphones are close to the action, aren't they? Here's Dylan Casey. Mike Breen takes the tackle. Sean O'Shea
did well to get out of it.
Dinks the ball forward. Here's Killian Spillane. Spillane with Cormac Quinn in front of him. Killian Spillane is only on the field about 90 seconds. And that's what you call an impact sub.
This is his speciality. He jinks from right to left, but he's such a good jink. He's able to create a bit of separation, then very accurate. Great score from Killian Spillane.
Niall Morgan. Oh, just went wrong with Con Kilpatrick. We've seen it work before. So Malachy wants more energy on a baking hot day. Serious test of the physical fitness, the mental fitness, the mental toughness. Jason Foley has certainly recovered. Chance for him to join the attack. David Clifford now starting to drift out the field more. Graham O'Sullivan. Joe O'Connor. Killian Spillane moving towards him. David Clifford. Ended up on the ground. Michael McKernan and David Clifford. You can see left of your screen what they're at. Here's Graham O'Sullivan. Easy to follow that and not follow the ball. Paddy Clifford follows the ball, doesn't care what's happening to the brother. They look after him now, but they've scored again. 1:15 to 13.
Yeah, great score from Paddy. Like you said, there's a bit of off the ball stuff here. Michael McKernan, since he's come in, he's been stuck in a few bits and pieces. The Kerry lads are getting stuck in him, he's getting stuck in them. Unsurprising, an All-Ireland semi-final with a lot on the line.
So that's 5 points without reply. Tyrone have managed just 3 points in the second half. And out of picture, you had that one. There it is, very much in picture. Con Kilpatrick, who has a yellow card against him, Michael McKernan and David Clifford.
Yeah, Con Kilpatrick would want to be careful now, because when he's on the yellow, you know, catching a fella by the throat, you're probably not as best advised.
See, this is, both players are going to be booked here. Now you can maybe, you know, which player was more aggressive here and caused the situation.
The forward will always take the yellow anyway, Darryl.
Yeah.
You know that they'll.
I know.
It's an excuse for David not to have to do any more tackling for the rest of the game.
That's one way of looking at it. 19 minutes left. A 6-point lead for Kerry. And a comfortable kick-out getaway for Niall Morgan. Here's Kieran McGeary. They've managed just, well, they're 4 points actually, the 2-pointer from Dara Canavan, my apologies. But he's their only scorer. They haven't scored in the second half. They haven't scored since the 42nd minute. At that point, they were just 1 behind. Con Kilpatrick. There was a little bit of a gap, but Kerry shuffled across to close the door. Matty Donnelly. Mark Bradley for 2. Bradley got hold of that one. Is it going to hang on? It is not. So now Peter Hart's going to come in and replace Kieran Daly for Tyrone. 2010, he made his senior championship debut for Tyrone. What an unbelievable football career he is having. Played against Antrim in his first game. And now he's got 18 minutes to turn this around for Tyrone.
Horgan is out on kickouts now as well for Tyrone to try and get a good hard press on Kerry.
Yeah, he's in like a right half back position on the left side of your screen as you look at that. Owen McElhone still has possession of the ball. Don't know how he managed to do it, but he did. Peter Tague just couldn't get it under control. Tague was brilliant and extremely brave. McElhone. Peter Hart, that's for one, and Peter Hart has kicked that one wide. He didn't make it, it's wide. Some of the crowd behind him on the Cusack stand and in the Davin stand thought that had gone between the posts, but it's wide. Mike Breen has been very good for Kerry. They got that kick off away, nice and handy. Graham O'Sullivan, pace to burn. Here's Joe O'Connor. And David Clifford turns back around again. Just look at the sheer numbers around it. Do you remember that Maradona photograph against Belgium in the World Cup all those years ago, 1986? It's like that. When he gets the ball, there's just pandemonium. Paudie Clifford, Shawnee O'Shea. O'Shea fancies a run at Peter Tague. It's been a really good battle between the two of them. Brian O'Bughley, he's got pace to burn as well. Gavin White calling for the ball. Cian O'Neill just shouting instructions in to Kerry players to keep it as wide as possible. Graham O'Sullivan. It's hard to find gaps down the middle when you're playing against Tyrone. Shawnee O'Shea eating up a nice bit of time here as well. Joe O'Connor.
Suits Kerry perfectly at the moment. They're 6 points ahead. They're draining for Tyrone, having to keep tracking them in this heat.
Killian Spillane. Oh, Spillane. He's through here. And Spillane blocked down brilliantly by Con Kilpatrick. Spillane, I'm sure, was thinking about the celebration, or at least seeing the white flag go up. Con Kilpatrick had other ideas.
Yeah, great block down again. We mentioned it earlier. He's stuck in everything in the second half, to be fair to him, for Tyrone.
Peter Hart knew the challenge was coming from Brian O'Bughley. Did very, very well. Here's Padraig Hampsey. He's like Peter Tague's lookalike, or maybe that's the other way around. It's the beard, I think. Mark Bradley. Matty Donnelly. Brian Kennedy has to go back. 4 points they've got in the second half, including one 2-pointer. Michael McKernan. McKernan taking on the shot. And McKernan has missed that one. You can hear the groan of the Tyrone fans. They got into a scoring position. Really should have converted. Rory Canavan's coming in. Owen McElhone is going the other way.
Yeah, he had a big first half, in particular a big 15-20 minutes at the start, but unsurprisingly for a lad that's still under 20 to try and play full All-Ireland semi-final was always going to be a big ask. It's a serious advantage Shane Ryan has, that he's comfortable on his left side as well there, that he can open up both the 2 and 4 pockets. Great kick out from him.
Brian O'Bughley. Shawnee O'Shea. David Clifford now, as you can see, been marked by Con Kilpatrick. And Hampsey struggled on it. Most players do. Invariably, this is the end result. Another score for David Clifford.
Yeah, consecutive kicks. Good kick out from Shane Ryan. Left into the 2 position to Jason Foley, but Brian O'Bughley to Shawnee Shea kick inside to David Clifford, and when you get consecutive kicks like that away, it's inevitably going to end up in a shot. David's radar is well and truly tuned in today. Great score.
Tyrone haven't managed a flag of any colour since the 42nd minute. Kieran McGeary, Con Kilpatrick, and the referee was playing an advantage. Well, the ball has been kicked between the posts for 2 points from Rory Canavan, but that's not going to count.
I wonder, was it that McGeary shouted him that they wanted the free? You'll see that.
Yeah, he's saying he had blown the whistle.
So, yeah, it was unusual that he didn't allow the advantage to develop. So I was just wondering, did Kieran McGeary say we'll take the free because they know they have Niall Morgan to come up?
Yeah.
He was drilling these over the bar with plenty to spare nearly over the back net beforehand, so we get a look at them here now in the pressure situation.
So the breeze is helping, but we mentioned the fact that it's blowing into the corner, the junction of the Davin stand and the Hogan stand, so it's kind of pushing against him.
It's nearly one of those ones that he'd have to kick straight through.
Oh, they've gone for a short one. Kieran McGeary for 2 points, and McGeary hangs that up there. It's like a Gary Owen in rugby, and he's missed it. So they do need something to sort of kick-start their challenge again, Tyrone. We thought the 2-pointer was the way to go, but it's an indication. Niall Morgan has been kicking the ball incredible distances today, but the wind is difficult and not as obvious an advantage as you would expect. That's going to be a Kerry free now.
They did something similar against Dublin right at the start of the game. Darren McCurry had a kick in a similar position, kicked it to McGeary. He kicked to 2, so maybe that was in their mind, but the kick was off, and when McGeary kind of spilled the pass, the chance was almost going away from him then.
Here's Joe O'Connor, still full of energy, still full of running. Mike Breen. Graham O'Sullivan. 7 points, the difference. Graham O'Sullivan again. Shawnee O'Donnell standing in front of him. David Clifford. Peter Tague. That's Rory Canavan trying to get the challenge in. Bringing up Ugly. Mike Breen pointing to where he wants this to go, and there is a gap, there's an opening, but Tyrone scramble across. Shawnee O'Shea for 1 point, and Kerry pushing clear.
Yeah, they worked that very well. You mentioned Rory Canavan was chasing shadows. He was on his own. It opened up the chance. Mike Breen punched the hole, slipped it to Shawnee O'Shea. Evan Looney on.
It's not quite, what was it, 14 points in 15 minutes, but it is 7 points without reply in 16 minutes. And Dylan Casey's gone off. Evan Looney of Dr. Croke's comes in wearing number 18. Tyrone need a spark. Something. Rory Canavan. Con Kilpatrick arriving at pace. Kilpatrick surging through. The Kerry players thought he fouled the ball. Michael McKernan. Again, they make another opportunity, but once more they can't convert, and the shooting has let them down big time in the last 16 minutes.
It has, absolutely. He was a huge scoring threat for them in the league. He got 213 during the course of the league, but possibly you can see his lack of football played at this level over the last couple of weeks. He said those 2 wides now. They had 9 in total, I make it.
Oh, almost the perfect catch by Brian Kennedy. Ooh, that's all very tight. Niall Morgan's out of his goal. Breen with the ball over the top. Morgan is still scrambling back. Here's Killian Spillane. Morgan's back on his line. Spillane through, and he gets the point out of it. That's a superb score from Killian Spillane. He had so much to deal with. He would have loved a goal, but Morgan got back on his line.
Outstanding. He was actually behind Cormac Quinn. He came out, he accepted it. It's probably one of the things that's underestimated about Killian Spillane. He's a brilliant finisher, but he's hugely strong as well. He's a great athlete, and he showed his power there in the way he was able to go past Cormac Quinn and kick a great score.
But you saw Brian Kennedy was unfortunate there, and he fell very heavily on the turf. So I think he's going to be okay.
That's relentless stuff from Kerry now, Dara. They're keeping it, you know, they're doing, this was the big high catch that he nearly got. He landed on his back, a heavy. Could have been awarded a mark.
Yeah.
Just spilled away from him at the last second, but Kerry had that phase at the start of the second half where they were forcing goal chances, and Jack was fairly annoyed with them. He got the word in to keep chipping the scoreboard, keep doing the simple things well, and that's what the last 15-20 minutes has been, where they've been very ruthlessly effective, really, without blowing the lights out.
8 points without reply from Kerry. They're going to make 2 substitutions in the second half. Kerry have outscored Tyrone by 10 points to 4, and Tyrone had a bit of a meltdown there with the kick out. Shawnee O'Shea to Gavin White. Tyke Morley is one of those Kerry players coming in. The other is Micheál Burns. So we heard from Jack O'Connor at the start of the week that Tyke was training well, having recovered from injury. Wonder will we see Paul Gainey. Mike Breen. Graham O'Sullivan has seen an awful lot of the ball for Kerry all the way through this match, inside the last 10 minutes. Mike Breen. Joe O'Connor. Breen O'Bughley. I think Mike Breen and Sean O'Brien are the two players who will leave the field for Kerry. Gavin White, again, he's surrounded by 5 Tyrone players, shifted the ball away quickly. Shawnee O'Shea. They keep the pressure on. Michael McKernan is the Tyrone defender there with Breen O'Bughley. Shawnee O'Shea. Nine points and 9 minutes to go. Mike Breen involved in this attack again. Killian Spillane made the dart out, and Spillane, it can't be perfect every time, and Mark O'Shea did his very best to keep that in play. Didn't manage it, so here are the changes. Mike Breen and Sean O'Brien out, Tyke Morley in, and Micheál Burns.
That wide from Killian Spillane there has been the exception in the second half there at half-time. Kerry 5 from 13 from play in the first half, so their shooting accuracy was well down, whereas in the second half they've been very efficient, huge improvement. Similarly in their long kickouts, they've been winning their long kickouts and getting scores off them.
"20 minutes since Tyrone managed to score." Peter Hart. Good run forward from Peter Hart. Graham O'Sullivan stayed with them all the way, and well, he's given away the free.
Kerry are trying to claim that there was a 3-up breach. Not sure if it's been spotted. Yeah, very good.
There was.
Yeah.
Oh, this is.
And Peter Hart took off.
Yeah.
Obviously, they didn't account for the facts. Yeah.
Look, it's tired minds and tired bodies at this stage, and they've been run ragged in the last 20 minutes. So David Clifford will just tap this over. And make it a 10-point game. No problem with that. 10 between them.
We see it here. Yeah, it wasn't for that long, to be honest, but
long enough to do.
It's incredible kickouts from Morgan, even though he hasn't been having the perfect day. He's picked a couple of those to the top of the arc with traffic around, where he's shot it into fella's midriff. Very accurate.
Kieran McGeary for Tyrone. 7 minutes left. It's an awful lot to ask, but it's going in long. Con Kilpatrick with the ball in. That's a really good catch by Kennedy. Now Shawnee O'Donnell, and at least they've brought an end to that barren spell, which goes all the way back to the 42nd minute.
It's the whole game long, Dara. Brian Kennedy has been drifting in there, drifting in, and we're in the 63rd minute. They're however many points behind before one is actually put in on top of him. He wins it and they get a simple score. It's amazing teams don't do it more often.
So that was 22 minutes with no points scored for Tyrone. Shane Ryan, ball back in play. Con Kilpatrick over there again. Dara Canavan, really acrobatic pickup. So they may as well have a go and throw the kitchen sink and whatever else they can find at Kerry. Michael McKernan, Matty Donnelly. Donnelly collided with Micheál Burns. Kieran McGeary, advantage been played, and he's spun away from a couple of Kerry fellas. And they want to get on with it. And we've another Kerry substitution. Tony Brosnan replacing Paddy Clifford. And there's an ovation for a very, very popular player in Kerry.
Yeah, special player. That's a huge 65 minutes into his legs now today, Dara, considering, you know, he's been injured and he's played halves of matches and everything. That's that'll set him up well for the final now.
That's Dara Canavan.
They're finally doing one of the bunching breaks.
There's 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, they have such pace at the back that they have loads of different players that can sprint into those pockets. Very hard for the opposing team to defend it. Paul Murphy that time, and again another left-footed kick out from Shane Ryan.
And that has been pushed into the corner from Seanie O'Shea to Graham O'Sullivan. Seanie O'Donnell is doing the defending for Tyrone. David Clifford doing the attacking for Kerry, and he's got away again, hit the deck, lost the ball, appealed for the free. Referee in a perfect position to see it, decided no, you're not getting a free. Brian Kennedy and Tyrone have turned the ball over, and out they come.
The fitness levels are incredible, Dara. The players, bearing in mind the heat today, the run that Graham O'Sullivan made up along the line for that hard ball there, after, you know, the amount of time that's gone, it's unbelievable fitness levels that the players possess nowadays.
Tyrone are going to bring another fresh pair of legs in. 8 points in 4 minutes. Rory Canavan played here with his brother in the All-Ireland Club final at the start of the year for Errigal Kieran. That is a foul against Brian O'Buglia. And look, they'll be happy enough to give away frees in those kind of positions. It just stops whatever momentum Tyrone are trying to build up. There's going to be a card for Brian, and this is why.
Yeah, there wasn't the whole pile in it, to be honest.
Yeah, so Rory Canavan, you have to kind of lob it in, don't you? Plenty of height in there. Kennedy in.
So he's going for the two.
In there. Yeah. Well, he was going for the two, but looked like he was doing something else. It's ended up wide anyway. 3.5 minutes left. Jack O'Connor bidding to take Kerry to an 8th All-Ireland final. Michael O'Neill is replacing Seanie O'Donnell. The way the first half panned out, and a goal between them at half-time, and Tyrone get back to within a point in the 42nd minute. Really was, I know Kerry put on that incredible 15-minute spurt against Armagh. They've done it again here. Just expected Tyrone to be able to stay a bit closer. The shooting let them down, and Kerry were relentless and continue to be, as Micheál Burns is fouled.
Yeah, they got back and they did the fundamentals very well, Dara. They got on top of their own long kick-outs. They started winning them, getting scores off it. And then when they were getting chances and shots away, they were making sure they were converting. Whereas the first half, even though they had a good score up at half-time, they missed a good bit similarly at the start of the second half, but they tidied it up from there then.
Just see Paul Murphy just a few seconds before with the acrobatic hand pass, and he'll be preparing for another All-Ireland final. Seanie O'Shea, likewise, everybody in green and gold. It'd be a really, that's a quick build-up, but a lovely build-up for them, and I'm sure Jack O'Connor and the management team will hang around tomorrow, watch Meath and Donegal, and find out who they're going to be playing. Micheál Burns, Killian Spillane, Cormac Quinn of Errigal Kieran for company. Kerry just hanging onto the ball. Tyrone gave it their all, but they're going to come up short. Micheál Burns named to start, as you can see, but didn't do that, then gets bottled up. Joe O'Connor, and O'Connor then collided with Kieran McGeary. Tyrone, well, for quite a while they've been seeking out consolation scores inside the last 2 minutes. Mark Bradley, Michael O'Neill, Dara Canavan to Michael McKernan. Build up to this game dominated by injury. Here is Matty Donnelly, absolutely blasted that. It's been sent out for a 45. Great block of Brian O'Bughley, and he's gone down injured. And there's another tussle going on off the ball.
Yeah, fantastic defending from Brian. Michael McKernan and Evan Looney had a coming together, shall we say, off the ball.
Now this is Rory Canavan, and that is for 2 points. So they've actually got the last 4 points in the game, but it's too little and way too late.
Yeah, again, if you're being ruthless up at the other end, Micheál Burns was turned over and Tyrone broke down. You just have to kill the ball when you're in this situation, when you're Kerry.
So Brian O'Bughley has to leave the field, or does he? No, he's had the treatment. The physios are leaving the field. And we're 40 seconds away from hearing the hooter. Overhead, those crazy seagulls are starting to gather. Con Kilpatrick, Peter Hart, Kilpatrick again, just dragged back. Referee playing an advantage. Peter Hart just chips it in for Michael McKernan. Here's a chance. Oh, that was Mark Bradley who pulled on that. It's gone over for a point. He wanted the goal. He didn't get it though.
Yeah, it was, and I'd say, to be fair to Paul Murphy, he threw himself at it. I'd say it nicked off Paul Murphy on the way over the bar. Mark Bradley was a good soccer player, and you could see it in him there.
Oh, hang on. So the umpire put the white flag up for the point, but the point has not been given. And the referee was playing an advantage. There's a conversation now with Shawnee O'Shea that Tyrone wanted the free.
Yeah,
and from outside the 40-metre arc, so the point has been chalked off. And this is launched in, lobbed in by Padraig Hampsey towards Kennedy, and Kerry able to deal with it. There's the hooter. The ball is still in play. Matty Donnelly has a go, and Donnelly has kicked that dead, and that's it. It's over, and Kerry are through to the All-Ireland final. Tomorrow fortnight, celebrations for Jason Foley. Tyrone were with them right up until the 42nd minute. But another masterclass from David Clifford, and Kerry just eased away from their Ulster opponents, and they made it look easy in the end. Such an impressive performance from Clifford and others. Kerry are through to the All-Ireland final.
Yeah, absolutely. They're a fantastic second half display. They kept just tipping away. They kept eating out the gap. Massive work rate all over the field. David Clifford's performance, of course, is going to get a lot of attention. It was fantastic. Joe O'Connor equally carried the fight, but I think what Kerry will be most satisfied with was their work rate from 1 to 15. Everyone worked so hard. Fantastic win, and they've 2 weeks now to look forward to an All-Ireland final.
And such a different feel, Eamon, with everything about Kerry. From the build-up to the Armagh match, there were doubts there was criticism at home, all that sort of thing. They gave their answer that day, and they've backed it up, and now another All-Ireland final to look forward to.
Absolutely, they thrive in that, Dara. This group, Jack thrives in it. They love having to prove a point, and to be fair to them, to back up that Armagh performance by being as impressive today in a different way is a huge credit to the whole group. And you know, it's a short turnaround in 2 weeks, the heat, everything. They'll be delighted with that win, and you know, as we said, fantastic from a Kerry perspective to be looking forward to an All-Ireland final now.
Okay, well, there you go. The players, they really worked hard, all of them today, but it's Kerry's day, and they've beaten Tyrone to advance to the All-Ireland final on a scoreline of 120 to 17 points.
Thank you, Dara. Thank you, Eamon. Tomas O'Shea, that is now two very strong Ulster sides that have Kerry made them look quite ordinary?
Yeah, I think Tyrone just didn't spark in that second half outside of Canavan. They had no real scoring threat. They missed an awful lot of kicks, and Kerry just kept that scoreboard ticking over, Joanne. A huge Kerry crowd, you can hear it in the background. There's a huge togetherness about them. They play for each other on the field. They work very, very hard. And we said at the start of the match there, if they could mix a little bit of fire with a bit of silk, I think they did that perfectly today. So job done, qualified for an All-Ireland final. But I would say that Tyrone were disappointed with their own display today.
We'll have more on that in a moment. First of all, let's find out who is man of the match with Damien.
Joe O'Connor is the Super Value man of the match. Tomas Garvey from Super Value is here to present Joe with his award. Joe, congratulations. Where did Kerry get a foothold in that game, in your opinion?
Yeah, we probably had a slow start, and then we came out in the second half, got a bit of momentum. So we asked the crowd to get behind us. We had an unbelievable turnout here today. We really felt them. Big one in 2 weeks' time.
Tyrone didn't manage to score for long periods in the last quarter, Joe. Just in terms of kickouts, in terms of pressing and stuff like that, how hard is it just to keep an eye on tactics in a game so frantic as that?
Yeah, definitely with the new rules, kickouts are challenging. Like we back Shane Ryan. It's a collective effort, you know, and we were able to get them off in the end. We're probably poor in the breaks in the first half, so just getting back to basics really, and thank God we did.
Joe, just to switch from half hour to midfield for yourself, you look to be really excelling. Kickouts, turnovers, late arrivals into the attack. How much are you enjoying it and the development game to game in that position?
Yeah, just with the space and everything, it's just a joy to play, like, and it's much better to watch. So the players definitely love it, you know, especially attacking players. So yeah, it's much better, and I'm really enjoying it. Yeah.
You've also had to work hard the last few years. Injury-free run as well, so important to you, Joe.
Yeah, it's obviously very demanding, you know, and we kind of back our squad. People have to step up. People are getting injured, so it's all about the squad, really, you know, and it is demanding, but yeah, it's great.
Just a final question for you. Just this year, from game to game, the fire and I suppose the dynamism that this Kerry side looks to have, has it just kind of come together as a unit as the season has gone on with these new rules also?
Yeah, we just try to take it game by game, really, and just learn in the league and try peak at the right times, keep learning every week, you know, and the crowd have really got behind us, as I said, in the last few weeks, and it means so much to us. So we have a big one in 2 weeks' time. Come on!
See you, Joe. Super Value man of the match.
Oh, he's got them going, hasn't he? Well done to Joe O'Connor. Another man of the match award for him. Not the first one this championship. Now, unlike with Katie Taylor last night, the decision to award man of the match to Joe O'Connor was not unanimous. It certainly was a split decision. Kieran Whelan, tell us why you and Tomas won out in this battle.
Well, listen, we know David Clifford scored 1-9 and we know the genius that he is, but sometimes the hard work that's done out the field makes a difference. The ball has to get into him, and he was phenomenal from Kerry today, box to box. The tackles he put in, he got forward, he kicked 2 points. When Kerry were out of it in the first 10-15 minutes, he came thundering in the game and brought them really back into it. I thought he was brilliant. I mentioned it at half-time. Yes, I had the cast and vote. Tomas was, and Sean is definitely against us here, but you have to credit the guy that.
I don't think nobody can say David Clifford. He was outstanding, absolutely. But from the very start, I think you look back at this Kerry performance, it was a workman-like performance, and nobody epitomises it more than Joe O'Connor. He's involved in every single thing from start to finish. If David Clifford got it, sure, you wouldn't argue it. I don't think Joe's going to be too put out by it either.
You were doing plenty of arguing there 10 minutes ago about David Clifford getting it. Look, I have no idea how. I actually think Kerry people underestimate how David Clifford is. I think because they see him so much. Every time I see this guy, I see the greatest ever footballer I've ever laid eyes on, and I've said that numerous times. Said that 2 or 3 years ago. There's plenty of workman-like players. There's plenty of players that can field balls. There's plenty of players that can make tackles and break lines.
There's no room on the shelf at home.
99.9% of people can't do this, what David Clifford does. He can beat you in any way that you want beaten. If you want beaten in the air, if you want beaten on the ground, speed, wrap around, 2-pointers, 1-pointers, goals, setting up play. He is just, in my eyes, unstoppable. And yeah, look here, I don't know whether it's maybe the Cork and Tomas that's going against them here.
Who do you reckon picks up David Clifford when they're in training, their training matches, Tomas?
this man probably has.
The man that nobody can see at home, but I reckon it probably is Jason Foley, all right?
Jason, tell him nothing, boy. Tell him nothing.
I'd say you're not the first person to say that to him, so he's all right.
It must be easy coming out here when you have to mark him in training.
No, definitely, it's definitely not easy anyway when you have the likes of the two Canavans and McCurries.
Who would you pick for man of the match today?
Who would I pick?
Yeah.
Man in the screen there, I'd say, or Joe even.
Joe
got it, did he?
Joe got it. Jason, congratulations. Back to another All-Ireland final. You just seem to have built and just suddenly come into top form in the last few games.
Yeah, I suppose I spoke a couple of weeks ago about the fact that we didn't perform against Meath 4 or 5 weeks ago, and it was kind of a bit of a reality check for us, and we kind of needed to sharpen a few things. But I think we always knew that when we got to Croke Park that that the kind of conditions in the game would kind of suit us. So it was about just polishing a few things and getting out here and expressing ourselves. Was
that Meath game vital? It sounds it because you all mention it. Did they expose what was wrong and what you needed to fix? Yeah, don't get me wrong. They're a fantastic side. They're in an All-Ireland semi-final tomorrow, so they're doing a hell of a lot right. But I suppose it just exposed a lot of things for us that we need to work on more so. And sometimes you need that kind of a reality check, and you need that kind of check at that time of the year. And it just suited us at the right time to get that, and to, as I said, to work on a few things, and thankfully we brought it 2 weeks ago. And I suppose a bigger challenge again was even bringing it today, because backing the performance like that up can be difficult, and we haven't done it previously, and we kind of made it a big focal point.
Jason, Joanne mentioned the Meath performance, but I watched it a couple of times against Cork, and you were giving up goal chances. Was that? And secondly, you looked like you are playing with real anger and a real aggression, particularly in defence. And there today, Tyrone weren't getting any. I was expecting maybe more goal chances, more one-on-one battles. Was there a focus on tightening up a defensive and collectively defending?
Yeah, I think we often speak about. The first thing is you have to take individual responsibility in your defending, the story going around the last couple of years was that, or the narrative, should I say, was that we were defensively, poor and we were easy to get at. And I suppose if you hear that enough, it can kind of sink in personally, and you just have to go away and work on that and keep working on it. And it's still not perfect. It's never going to be perfect. We still coughed up goal chances today. It's just limiting the bad ones and reacting to the goal chances when they happen. When they happen, you just got to react, get your hands on the ball, and go at it again. So I think a lot of it was individual responsibility as well.
Jason, tactically, obviously the last day against Armagh, you put a massive squeeze on their kick out. Today, it looked like you were ready for Niall Morgan was going to kick one long over the top. Did you prepare for that? It was a key part of the game.
I suppose in our own review, the last week or two, we noticed that he likes to go long, and I suppose we got hurt with it here in 2021 in the semi-final. And you don't tend to forget those things quite easily. So we knew he kind of had that in the locker, that long boomer, and then obviously with two monsters in the middle of the field that can flick it on. It's quite dangerous. So we were aware of it, but as I said, sometimes you just can't stop it. You just have to get the bodies around there and hope you have a monopoly in numbers.
You enjoying the new rules, Jason? Like, I'd say Kerry were slow enough in the league early on, but now as the championship is rolling on, they seem to be doing really well, and a lot of them, like kick-outs especially, doing really well around the middle of the field. Have you worked an awful lot on that?
Yeah, kick-outs were such a vital part of it last year, and they still are this year. I think the fact that the conditions in the league and the pitches and stuff have kind of led to more long kick-outs and stuff like that, but we've noticed as the summer's gone on that there still is space all over the field for keepers to get kick-outs off. When you have the likes of Niall Morgan and Shane and these fellas, they can pick them from anywhere, so you still have to have a really, really good press, and then not to get exposed the other side as well.
Does it make training harder trying to mark Clifford during training?
It'd be quite difficult, yeah. But sure, we've loads of different fellas that pick him up every single night of the week. But yeah, it's as tough as it gets.
Just pass on that Sean is disgusted we didn't give him man of the match. Yeah. But I was trying to argue. He's
waiting for the final.
If you want to send Clifford up to Tyrone to be appreciated here, send him up anytime you want.
He probably has enough, to be fair.
Can we go back to what you were talking about, the questions around you defensively? Because obviously Paddy was in there and he was credited with so much of what led to that 2022 All-Ireland win. And things did change. That's obviously something, because it is the thing that was talked about being written off and the anger within the camp. but defensively that's obviously something that's really got under your skin.
Yeah, as I said before, when it's said enough, it sinks in. I suppose every time we've lost big games, it's the finger's been pointed at the fact that we conceded goals at the wrong time and stuff like that, and probably right, in fairness. Like, I mean, we just had to lick our wounds and make sure we come back in 10 or 12 months' time and put it right. So, as I said at the start, it's a lot of personal responsibility to go away and improve as a defender and win your one-on-one duels, because, you know, even you saw there Tyrone kicked a lot of ball, and you just got to have to compete and stand your man up and deny him, and then get support from the boys outside. So
one last one before we will let you go. Both last time and this time today, there was this key 20-minute period, not quite the third quarter, but across the third quarter into the fourth quarter, which has proved so pivotal for you. Is that coincidence that it's that same time frame, or is it something that you look at?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I think a lot of it is just wrestling momentum, and when you have it, keeping it. I think that's a big focus, but that's a big focus for every team. All 4 teams left in the championship this weekend would have focused on that as well. Just when you have the ball to make sure that you don't give up momentum. Momentum's huge, because if you get a score, press the kick out, win the next kick out, then momentum gathers. And just thankfully in the last 2 games we were able to hold on to it for long periods and get the scores and put a bit of a gap between us and the opposition. So
well,
that was kind of it.
Another All-Ireland final for you to look forward to. Best of luck in a couple of weeks' time. Really appreciate you coming up here and joining us after such a tough outing as well. So Kerry back into another All-Ireland final. We'll be looking ahead to that. We'll have more analysis and reaction to their semi-final win in a little while. First of all, here's your competition.
RT Sport want to give you the chance to win 2 tickets to this year's All-Ireland Senior Hurling Final. Along with those all-important match tickets, you'll also be collected from wherever you are in the country and whisked to Dublin for the game. You'll also be treated to a 2-night stay at the stylish Croke Park Hotel, located just steps away from the historic and world-famous Croke Park Stadium, the perfect place to soak up that pre-match atmosphere. There's champagne on arrival, breakfast each morning and dinner on both nights in the hotel's stunning restaurant, The Hawthorn. Find out more at doylecollection.com. And to top off your weekend in Dublin, there's €1,000 to spend too. For your chance to win, answer this question. Which of these is the current manager of the Tipperary senior hurling team? Is it John Kiley, Pat Ryan or Liam Cahill? To enter, call 15 17 71 71 74 or text the word GAME followed by your answer into name to 57886. Maximum cost per entry is €2.50. You must be over 18 to enter. Lines will close at midday on Monday, July 14th. Full details are on rte.ie/competitions, but the lucky winner will also be revealed.
Isn't it time people knew that there are bigger and better values than the mean-spirited ones they live by?
You're letting yourself be defeated, my lady. I'm sorry if it's a lapse to say so, but someone has to.
Downton Abbey. All episodes streaming now on RTE Player.
Oh yeah, number 6. And one of those, please.
Forgot this. Love you, Dad.
There's a glass and a half in everyone.
At Clear Mobile, we've an offer so good, it's worth repeating.
$12.99.
Exactly. He knows a good thing when he hears it, because it's only...
$12.99.
Yes. $12.99 for unlimited data and calls with texts.
$12.99.
Good lad. Join now at clearmobile.ie.
We're serving up summer at Dunnes Stores, and it's barbecue season. Mix and match 3 for €10 across a fantastic range of meat and fish. Make perfect hot dogs with flame-grilled pork sausages. Bring the heat with spicy piri-piri chicken wings and new hot honey pork belly slices. Or keep things light with succulent king prawns. Plus, save at the till with a €10.50 grocery voucher. Dunnes Stores. Always better value.
Harvey Norman, your sleep specialists. Explore our extensive range of big brand mattresses, bed linen, and so much more. Get a great night's sleep with Irish-made mattresses from brands like King Coil and Castle Beds with mattresses from only $249. Upgrade your bedroom with the Iris Double Bed Bundle. That's a headboard, Iris mattress and base for just $949. Complete the look with 10% off selected bed linen. With 36 months interest-free finance terms available. Why wait? Harvey Norman, your sleep specialists.
Go!
Got Big McDonald's hunger? The new Big Arch is here.
What brings us out for our county, year after year after year, that stirs such passion in our hearts and makes the pride flow through our veins? It's our county, it's our people, it's in our blood.
SuperValue believe in community, and community includes everyone.
Kerry, led by man of the match Joe O'Connor, as well as 1-9 from David Clifford. They are back into an All-Ireland final. It's been a 2-year break since they were beaten by Dublin, and of course they were the champions the previous year in 2022. Final score here in Croke Park in the first of this year's All-Ireland semi-finals. Kerry with 120 to Tyrone's 17 points. Lots of key stats throughout this second half, but the difference in score conversion ratcheted right up in favour of Kerry. Kerry's went up, Tyrone's very much so went down. So as Kerry returned to that All-Ireland final, it is the 8th time that this man has led him there. Here is Jack O'Connor.
Jack, huge congratulations. How impressed are you with that display?
Yeah, I thought we would edge early on. I thought the first 15 to 20 minutes, I thought Tyrone were a better team. They looked highly dangerous up front, and we just couldn't get to grips around the middle of the field. I think we lost a load of kick-outs there early on, so Tyrone forwards have plenty of ball and they're sharp and they have pace, and we just weren't getting to the pitch of the break. So that was the big turning point. I think that started to turn a little bit before half time. And
Jack, what did you do to tweak that around?
Well, I think there was a bit of a disconnect there between Shane. I don't think the time he had to kick out wasn't allowing the boys to get out under the pitch of the break, and I think that was the big thing. We spoke about that at half time. But look, Gino showed great battle and great character. That game was going against us big time. I mean, Tyrone into the wind had gone 4 or 5 points up in the first half. Their forwards looked very sharp and very dangerous. But it's all about the kick-outs now. It's really all about the kick-outs. And as soon as we started getting a bit of supply into the boys, they did their stuff.
And you have a keeper that can go left or right and set up scores, and you've got pace in the back, you can build from deep. They didn't score from 42 minutes nearly till 62 minutes. That was a 20-minute period. Your guys got on top then right at the second half, Jack. Was there any more changes you made at half time?
Look, we spoke about a few things, just about a few technical, sort of tactical things, but we felt we were getting a lot of joy in certain areas. Joe O'Connor was having a powerful game, and he was really threatening when we got him on ball, and the two boys in the middle of the field were plugging away. They were competing well in the air, but the big thing was we had to be sharper onto the breaks, because we know if we can get enough possession into our forwards, if we can do a bit of damage. So just delighted Damien. We've, for a team I suppose that was written off completely a month ago, it's a big turnaround in our fortunes, and we're delighted. I'm delighted also with the Kerry support. They really got behind the team. They were very vociferous there, when we needed help there in the second half, and they were a big factor in the game.
Jack, Joe O'Connor's development at midfield, with kick-outs, with turnovers, with the surge and runs, he always had the athleticism, but from game to game, he's really, really commanding that position.
Joe, you know, he's just a powerful athlete with a tremendous attitude, and you know, he's developed into a real leader. You know, when we won here in 22, Joe was nominally the captain, but he only got maybe 5 minutes in that All-Ireland final. So I think he made a pact with himself, and you know, that's the last day that I'll be on the sideline. And he's come back from a very bad knee injury, cruciate injury, and he's just a really powerful athlete with a great attitude.
A final question to you. If an All-Ireland final in 2 weeks, go back to the group stages and that defeat maybe, and the criticism that you're getting. Jack, what has impressed you most about the resilience and the recovery, for want of a better word, since that day?
Look, we just battened down the hatches and kind of circled the wagons and basically said, look, this isn't that version of us above in Tullamore wasn't the real Kerry, you know. Now, we were missing a lot of players as well, you know, big leaders like Sean, he was missing that day, and he has a big effect on the rest of the boys around him. So, look, we didn't throw in the towel. Maybe some people throw in the towel with us, and that's fair enough. They're entitled to their opinion, but we within the group certainly gave ourselves a great chance of getting back here. And I think once we got here, a little bit of a spark again, and that's shown in the last 2 games, Damien.
Thanks for all your time, Jack.
Yeah, thank you.
More than a little bit of a spark, a lot of a spark. And you've set up a spark here, Jack. You've started them all again. It is all about the kick-out, says to us.
No, we were just discussing it off air there. You need obviously the forwards to put it over the bar, but there's so much. I actually was thinking during the match, I would argue that all the rules combined to make it a better game, but the defining rule was the arc. The fact that teams have to kick it out past the arc takes the full control away from it, and it's what's created what we have. But you win enough ball around there, and I know teams will develop as they go along. If you have the players up front, and you could argue on another year, Derek Canavan was flying 2 years ago, McCurry, on another day, they had enough ball to make.
I get that, Thomas. Yeah, but like Tyrone didn't massively lose the kickouts. Like Tyrone got plenty of kickouts away there. Like, this was an Armagh performance.
McCurry and Canavan didn't fire today.
Yeah, but because they're not David Clifford, unfortunately.
But give it 2 years ago, I think those two lads were in a way better form. Derek Canavan hasn't had the season that he had maybe 2 years ago. Clifford is on a different level. Clifford tends to have those seasons every year. So
Canavan was their best forward.
The new rules suit David Clifford. Simple as.
He had a quieter couple of years, did he not, the last couple of years?
But he's been judged differently, Joanne. David Clifford has reached heights that nobody will ever reach, arguably, in the game. And if he doesn't show that, then...
But it was also a case, Tomas, that Tyrone pushed out today. Like, they pushed out and tried to put pressure on Kerry out the field. So they left that space and they left that one-on-one in there. And that's very hard. But, you know, depends who gets through tomorrow. When you're setting tactically up to face Kerry in the final, it's a conundrum. It's a big conundrum because they will hurt you either way, and that's the power of that forward.
Did they show that actually? We talked to Jason about that crucial period where it just, so against Armagh it was more like a constant demolition. Was it more like a death by 1,000 cuts in that period this time?
Yeah, it was, Joanne, but it was a very clinical second half, and they were playing into that wind in the second half, and Derek Canavan obviously set the tone. He started the half really well, and you were hoping that Tyrone might have got energy off that, but Kerry were very, very clinical in the second half. They missed a lot of chances in the first half. Obviously, Clifford kicked on where he had left off, but then when Tyrone did get the chances, they just, didn't. Probably easy chances that drop short, allows Kerry to come on the counter-attack. Kerry were ravenous off turnovers today. Again, Joe O'Connor, the man of the match, going straight through, driving it over the bar. And, we've said that the likes of Shawnee O'Shea, Paddy Clifford were going to come into the game in the second half. They started to have more of an influence, as did Killian Spillane coming off the bench. And in around this period, Tyrone were trying to force 2-pointers. That's one of the negatives, 2 points. You're maybe trying to chase the game. You're trying to get some energy off the crowd. You're trying to get a couple of scores in a row. Tyrone didn't get any momentum in that period, and Kerry were just more clinical.
I know we're trying to make a point as to why Kerry won the game, and Tomas thinks it's just about arcs and midfields, but essentially the confidence of Tyrone midway through that second half just completely went out of the team. 3-4 wides become 6-7-8 wides. Coming here today, I would have expected Kerry to get 20 or 25 points. I also expected Tyrone to get in around that, and Tyrone didn't live up to that end of the bargain. And look, the Kerry press, the aggression, the physicality, at times Tyrone looked small and lightweight, and look, probably as a county and as a team have a little bit of growing to do in that sense, and development, and look, there's plenty coming through. That means I think Tyrone are going to be about for the next number of years, but I think today, look, aggression, power, physicality, and David Clifford won it for Kerry.
And of course, Tyrone are already All-Ireland champions at minor level, at under 20 level as well. They have a bright future ahead of them, and they also have one wily manager. We'll be hearing from Alec O'Rourke in just a moment.
Need broadband?
You're grand.
This works off 5G. It doesn't need cables.
You just plug it in and you're good to go.
Some speed.
What if we threw in a landline? It's wireless.
There is another way to broadband. 3 5G home broadband from €20 a month for up to 12 months.
Stack more into your barbecue for less with Lidl. Serve deliciously smoky fish, fresh from the grill. Or choose juicy burgers. There's no topping their flavour. Mix and match across fish, Board B approved meats or poultry, 3 for €9 to light up your barbecue with these great dishes. And introducing new Lidl points. Collect them every shop with the Lidl Plus app. Enjoy more for less when you go full Lidl this summer.
I think I left my bank card somewhere.
Did you lose it last night?
What? I said, did you lose it last night?
Told you not to trust that little guy.
Oh, I thought he was sound. Gab! I'll just freeze on the app, so. There you are, you goose.
Relax with a Bank of Ireland current account. Get started today.
I am Usain and I like to do things fast. And fast just got better. Persil Wonder Wash. Our first ever detergent designed for shorter cycle. Better on odor, better on fragrance. Persil Wonder Wash. Fast just got better. And now try new Persil Wonder Wash Dazzling White for white clothes that wow. What is this?
Guys, make way. For the designated driver.
Get the Samsung Galaxy S24 or the all-new Galaxy S25 with 3. Plus, trade in your old phone and we'll give you an extra €100 on top of its trade-in value. Now that's a big deal. Switch in store or see 3.ie today. 3, Ireland's best network.
What?
That's life. That's life. And as funny as it may seem, some people get their kicks stomping on a dream, but I don't let it get me down.
Redclick Home Insurance includes emergency home repair with a dedicated 24-hour helpline. You're covered for up to 4 call-outs a year without affecting your no-claims bonus. It's a helping hand you can count on. Redclick. Home insurance that just clicks.
SuperValue believe in community. And community includes everyone.
You're very welcome back. So Malachy O'Rourke couldn't follow in the footsteps of the last two management teams for Tyrone, Mickey Hart and then Brian Dooher and Fergal Logan, by leading Tyrone to the All-Ireland title in their very first year. But there is a bright future ahead, you would imagine, for O'Rourke's team. Here he is now.
Malachy, I know there was a period there of 20 minutes maybe in the second half where the scores weren't going over for you, but
3 questions. For about 2 minutes.
Huh?
They want about 2 minutes from you.
Okay. Malachy, thanks very much for your time. Could I get your thoughts on that game, please?
Yeah, obviously very disappointed the way it ended up. Thought that in the first half we played a lot of good football. We did well in the kick-outs and so on. Probably didn't use the possession as well as we would have liked. We gave a lot of possession away, and then once we did that, we were caught a wee bit at the back. And obviously, they have the forwards that'll punish you. Still at half time, there was a bit of a breeze out there. We were in a good enough position. We just didn't get. We kicked a few wides, and in fairness, Kerry, every time they got the ball, they looked very dangerous, and they could have got a couple of goals there as well. Overall, just disappointing. We came away, we expected to win the game. We felt that, and as I say, we were in good position at half time, but it wasn't to be, and fair play to Kerry.
You came out after half time, you got the first 2 points, looked to have the wind in your backs literally. Brian Kennedy was sneaking in off the kickouts the whole time, and then maybe the score stopped, and I know there's no obvious explanation for that at the time, but do you feel that maybe drained you just a little bit?
Yeah, possibly did, and we just weren't penetrating. Kerry set up well, we just weren't able to penetrate. They were able to penetrate us a lot easier at the other side, but then I suppose we were trying to nullify Paddy Clifford as much as we could. We were trying to make sure that Sean O'Shea didn't get as much balls last day, and obviously then we probably hung Paddy out to dry a wee bit on David Clifford, and he was able to score. Look, we tried to remedy that at different times, but I suppose we just didn't score enough up at the other end, and in fairness, Kerry were very economical with their chances.
Last question for you, Malachy. I know it's very soon after the final whistle, but overall, first year in charge, a huge amount of work had to be done, and getting to an All-Ireland semi-final is not where you want to be, but how do you look back on the year in general?
Yeah, I suppose, look, early on the year was disappointing. We got a bad start to the league, but we finished the league very strong, and we were pleased with that, although we end up getting relegated. Championship, again, it was a wee bit of a mixed bag, but the boys have been working very hard, and had a couple of great performances, did really well here against Dublin a couple of weeks ago. We knew we were improving, but Kerry's a big jump up at the same time. I suppose the boys haven't been here in a few years, and Kerry have been knocking about this last couple of years, and they've a lot of quality players, so there was a mixed bag, I suppose, but we know after the day there's a lot of hard work to be done as well.
Yeah. Thanks for your time all year, Malachy.
Thanks, Damien.
Yeah, we did get to Malachy eventually there, but what a great summation of facing the Kerry conundrum there from Malachy, Sean. But also, we did see Niall Morgan in particular spent a long time sitting on that grass after the full-time whistle goes. We always begin these rumours when a team gets knocked out, but could we see some significant changes?
I'd be less worried about Niall. I suppose Matty and Petey's been there a long time, and they've been tremendous servants. We've no one to replace Niall from what I can see right now, and Niall's been at the top of the game for the last couple of years.
He's the current All-Star.
And he's 10 years younger than Trucks.
Yeah, and he's a keeper. So maybe if just keeping nets and tell him not to run as far up the pitch every now and again. But look, it's always sad. The end of the county year, I suppose what people don't realise is the county season maybe starts in September or October, and your training, Garvaha, the training centre, is the sideways wind and rain and frost. It's a big commitment, and where the game's at the minute, it's quite difficult. But yeah, fingers crossed we'll see Niall and the rest of the boys back in Tyrone jerseys.
Okay, we will find out. A big thank you to Sean and Kieran and to Moss for their for their time today. And just listening to Malachy there, it does suggest that Kerry are going to be very, very difficult to beat in the All-Ireland final. We'll be finding out who will be joining them in that when we have live coverage of Donegal against Meath in the second semi-final from 3:15 tomorrow. But for now, from all of us here, bye-bye.